All right. Welcome, everyone. Da-da-da-da-da. We are here. So we are actually testing cord stuck under the armrest. We're testing a different microphone this time. So since you guys are hearing this now, let us know how it sounds in relation to, if you're used to being on these, how it sounds to everything else. But welcome to everybody in the old chat. We've got quite a few people that are watching along. We've got some good standards in here. Pixar Freak, Enrico Gomez, Paulina. Hello, Aiden. We've got Jay Steele. We've got Yvonne Gamer with a whole bunch of people. Alice Zhang, Ethan Wilson. Lots of good people that are jumping in here. Luis Garza says, I'm wearing the same t-shirt. Awesome. So we are going to talk on this particular discussion all about what movie? Incredibles 2. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about our thoughts. We're going to get your thoughts that you guys leave in the chat here. So if you're watching this directly on YouTube, just go ahead and leave a comment down below. If you're on our website, you can go ahead and leave a comment there. And Julie will also be monitoring our Twitter. So that is at the Pixar Post. If you're on there, so you can leave a comment that way as well. Easiest way we'll see it is just in the chat directly on YouTube or on our site. But either way, we're excited to talk about this. We're going to dive in. I'm going to put it out there right now. We're going to talk spoilers. There's going to be, we're talking about the movie. So if you guys don't want to hear anything about this.
And Bao. We're
as well as Bao.
All about.
Yes, absolutely. All about Bao. All about Bao. So if you guys don't want to talk about that, or if you don't want to hear about it, then we'll see you soon. Yeah. But yeah, we're definitely going to talk about it. We're going to get into all the different details. I have my, anybody that's watched these before know that when we go to the theater, I bring one of my notebooks. This one happens to be my Cars 2 notebook. And I've got my total like chicken scratch because I'm writing in the dark while I'm watching the movie.
Well, he took his notes on the 6th viewing.
Sixth. So has anybody beat 6?
And we're going to see it for the 7th time soon because we have tickets again.
We forgot. Okay, we're so stupid. We forgot that we had two free tickets that were part of our D23 magazine.
Yeah, they sent us 2 free tickets and we totally forgot.
Yeah.
So we're going to go see it again.
So yeah, I guess technically I should say I've seen it 5.5 times instead of 6 or 5.25 times because one of those times was at the studio.
Yeah, that's true.
But I did see the double feature. Another one, Luis says I'm at 4. That's awesome. So we've seen a lot of people that have seen it a lot of times. But definitely, again, let us know what else you've seen. But yeah, so double feature. And then I saw it opening night, went again another night.
Yeah.
I
saw it yesterday, day before, or Saturday.
Saturday, I went so I could go by myself and just take the notebook.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But anyways, so we're here to talk all about it. We're going to dive into all of our favorite moments. We're going to talk about some of the things that maybe we were like, hey, what happened here? And then, of course, whenever we do these, if you don't know us, I'm TJ.
And I'm Julie.
And we're always joined by a special guest, or often joined by a special guest. And tonight is somebody brand new to the fold. You've probably never seen him on any of these hangouts. Dan the Pixar fan.
Ba-da-da-da-da. Here I'm back, everybody. How's it going?
Yes.
Here.
And Dan and I are twinning tonight, wearing our Dash
We
shirts.
are. So
yeah.
There's Dash. TJ helped me get this shirt, so thank you.
Hey, I do it again.
Yeah, that was great. So me and Julie are twinning for the first time ever. I love it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, usually we're the ones wearing the same shirts.
Even that, I don't even know if we have.
I don't think so.
I think this is the first time, and it's with Julie. I love it.
All right.
High five.
So, hello, everybody. It's cool to see all those familiar names in the chat.
Yes, absolutely. The Chicken Turtle. Where's the Dash shirt from? It's actually from the studio store within Pixar, so sorry to tell you that.
You know what one I've been getting a lot is at the Disney store where I work. I've gotten this question several times, and online is the one that they're wearing in the little pre-video with the Jack heads.
Yes.
Which I think was a crew shirt. That's what I've been telling people. So that's another cool one that it's like, oh, bummer.
We've gotten that question a bunch too. It's like everybody wants that shirt, which I understand.
It's a
cool shirt.
It's a cool shirt.
Super. Yeah. If that was at the store, I would totally try to get that, but I don't even think that design made it there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So Pixar Freak is saying, is that your favorite Incredibles family character, Julie?
It is.
Why is that?
Well, okay, so Dash
Was it always?
It was.
Okay.
It was. And if you go back on last Hangouts and other things, I've always said that Dash was my favorite. I like Violet too, but Dash is very, especially now, because so we have a 4-year-old little boy who is blonde and runs fast like Dash.
Yeah.
And he actually calls himself Dash.
Yeah, he's all about it now.
Yeah.
And TJ, that was always your favorite character, right? Because last time we talked, he was your favorite character. So I don't know if that was always, but he has been for a while.
I think I said Mrs. Incredible.
Oh, did you?
I think
because I thought I was Dash.
Oh, well, okay. Maybe that's who I'm thinking of then.
That's cool.
Maybe I'm thinking Julie said it.
Yeah, probably. So, okay. So I want to know first reactions, and everybody that's in the chat, you can type this in there as well, or let us know in whatever method you'd like again. But I want to know your thoughts. So if you were to rate, we'll talk about Bow in a minute, but if you were to rate Incredibles 2 on a 1 to 10, do I have to really say 10 being best?
Yeah.
What would you rate it? So let us know in the chat. But Julie, I'd like to know your thoughts.
I gave it a 10.
And why do you give it a 10?
I gave it a 10 because it was a solid. Okay, it wasn't like a Pixar film. It was an action film done at Pixar. It was surprising, and it wasn't like a Pixar kind of story that you would think, but that movie is all action. It had surprising. It had hilarious gag moments. I mean, we'll talk about Violet's water in her nose.
Yeah.
But the screenslaver was scary.
Okay.
Like it seemed very, and I know we're obviously adults. We're in our late 30s, so we love animated films, but this was an action film done at an animation studio.
Yeah.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
It was, I wouldn't have changed anything.
Okay, well, you're along the same lines as a lot of people. So Luis Garza says 9.5 out of 10. And he said the only reason for that is because 0.5 was taken away for the villain.
Okay, well, actually, there was one thing that I said I would have taken away. The extra wannabe supers, I said I could have lost 2 or 3 of them.
Okay. All right,
I didn't need that many. I understood why there's that many, but I didn't need that many.
Right.
But I still gave it to, I mean, it was great.
Awesome. So so Ethan Wilson 8.5, Enrique 10 out of 10, Dream Visions 10 out of 10, Alice Zhang 6 with a question mark, Chicken Turtle 10, Abby Studios 9, Sarah Robertson 8, Kendallberry 9. So it's the best non-Toy Story sequel is what Ethan also says there. Sarah says watched it over the first time over the weekend. Super surprised to talk about it. So yes.
About your thoughts?
I am in the 9 to 9.5. It's so weird. I don't know why I'm not willing to say 10, but I feel like most of the times I said 10 on the podcast when I literally walked out of the theater from seeing it with Giovanni, and I was like, I think this is a 10. But then for some reason, after seeing it now 5 and like a quarter or 5.5, for some reason, I'm like, maybe there's a little something that I should be a little, I don't know. I can never decide. It's like, one day I feel like it's the greatest film ever. The next day I'm like, it's a 9.5, but it's like, who cares? It's still so close.
Well, this is a film that you keep saying, as soon as you come back home, like, cause he's seen it quite a few times without me. He's like, I want to watch it again right now. I want to go back. I want to see it again.
Yes.
You said the watchability is very much like Monsters University.
So rewatchability, yes.
Rewatchability.
I rank a lot of Pixar movies on rewatchability. When I get done watching them, can I just put it on again and again and again? So to me, Inside Out, as I see Bing Bong hanging back there, that is a solid 10 out of 10 for me. But the rewatchability is not as high. And the only reason the rewatchability isn't as high is just because it's so emotional. Mm-hmm. I can't just throw it on in the background and have a good time, leave it on. Because if I'm like playing a game with our son, or if I'm like just cleaning or whatever, I'll slow down with that movie.
Right.
And I'll be like, Bing Bong, like every time. So for me, like a replayability factor is really high because I'm going to watch these movies a bunch of times. Not only do we watch them a bunch, but our son wants to rewatch them a bunch of times. Mm-hmm. So replayability. So that's what I rank this movie super high in,
Yeah.
is replayability.
Which is funny because Coco has a huge rewatchability for me.
And that one's not as high of a rewatchability for me. I'm not saying it's not, but it's not as high.
And that one is still my favorite Pixar film.
Bing Bong Gone, but never forgotten. Yes, you're right. Eliana is saying I'd give it an 8.5 out of 10. Solid sequel, but there's just something about it that didn't make it a 10. Okay, cool. Sarah says reason 8 out of 10 is because I think I need to see it again for things to sink in. And then Luis has to come back right after he says don't be forgotten, Bing Bong. He says, well, actually he did get forgotten. Don't put that on me right now. So Dan, what are your thoughts on Incredibles 2 after walking out?
Okay, so full disclosure, I didn't love it quite as much as you guys did upon walking out. I have, looking at the chat, there's a few people that I'm agreeing with the something just not being there. But I'm here to talk about the things that I did like, and maybe we could talk about things that maybe we would have done differently. But I'm not totally comfortable giving it a number yet because I need to see it one more time.
Okay.
That's
so
fair.
I don't want to like give it a 6 or a 7 when next time I could go tomorrow and give it a 9.5 just because I'm in a different mindset. So I'm going to hold off on that one.
That's fair.
But
that's fair.
But I'm a little bit more hesitant than you guys are. Maybe we could talk about some things, but that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah. We will. We'll get into all those things. So
awesome.
I think do we want to talk Bao now?
Yes, let's talk Bao.
Sure, let's start Bao.
All right, fantastic. So in the chat, I'm going to ask the same thing to you guys. What did you give Bao on a 1 to 10? So throw it out there again. Let us know. But we'll go the same order again. Julie, what did you think?
Like 100.
100?
Mm-hmm. I love it.
100 out of 10?
Yeah. 100 out of 10.
Wow.
So are we reducing that fraction with Dash and his new math?
Yeah. Yeah, that's new math.
It's an improper fraction.
No, it was beautiful. Being a mom, I was like, oh no, I got it. I understood it. And at the end, I was like, oh no, you just want to relive that whole, them being little again and doing everything over. And then they're going to grow up. And not that our son is 4, so not that he's getting married or anything like that.
Right.
But I almost, I'm excited for that day to come, but I almost dread it at the same time. So I thought it was
that's normal. Yeah.
Very beautiful story. And I really loved being immersed into that culture.
Mm-hmm.
Just, with the dumplings and it's just like the food and then the father watching TV at the dinner, it's just, I loved seeing that culture, kind of just like Sanjay's Super Team, where I loved, being immersed into that culture.
Yep.
And knowing about all the gods and stuff. So I like how the studio is doing that. More
definitely
so
exposing more, showing more cultures.
But what's awesome is it has such a cultural feel to it, but it is a relatable story no matter who you are. But yeah, being a mom, it got me. It got me just like Piper got me.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
It got me like Piper.
So Paulina, strong 10, Luis 7.5, Ethan 9, Enrique 9. We got Demisol in there. Some of you are throwing that out there. So Aiden, 8 out of 10. Bao was hard to follow. I really think Lou was the best short I've seen. Interesting. It did touch my heart. Yeah, because I just moved out of my house. Yeah, okay. My mom was crying. So I really, we all get that. That definitely happens. Double meaning of Bao with dumplings and kids is just ... So Pixar Freak, 9.5 out of 10. I think I put it somewhere in like the 8 to 8.5 range.
Okay.
Technically, I mean, our podcast will be coming out soon. I loved everything about Bao, and I frigging loved the design of the dad. I love how it was so traditional, like Chinese art.
Yeah.
I like all the designs on the walls. I loved everything, like all those things. I even talked to Domi Shi, the director, about it, that I love the fact that where the mom's moles were on her face. Like, I really liked all the details, and the food looked so gorgeous. it was ridiculous. Like they talked about all the tests they did when they were chopping the green onions and everything, and like how the water was coming off of it. And I commented on that to them too. And then when she's stirring up all the meat and everything, I'm like, oh my gosh, this looks
what's crazy,
so real.
Though, is like I didn't really look at the technical aspects. I was so involved with the story because especially when the mom is like, you know, when Bao falls and gets like, she's got to put more, you know, meat, like more filling into it's just like, oh my gosh, the amount of times I'm like, slow down, or like, you want to catch them because they're going to fall and hurt themselves. Oh, no, don't go play over there. Those, you know, those kids look like they're playing a little too wild, and and you just want to keep them close to you. I totally related to that. And I was just sitting there like, oh my gosh. Yeah.
And that's like, what I said. I said, I knew you were going to like it before you went in. I'm like, I can't wait for you to see it.
It was a very relatable story.
Okay, so I want to talk about this too. So Dan, if you even remember, what was the reaction, and you guys can comment in the chat too, what was the reaction in the theater when she picks up the dumpling when he's trying to leave and eats him?
Oh, yeah.
What was people's reactions? Did they laugh? Did they gasp? Or was it nothing? Let us know in the chat too. Because the very first time I saw it was the double feature, and people were cracking up. I mean, like rolling around like it was like a hilarious thing. And in my mind, I was like mortified because she's crying and I'm feeling for her and everything. But people were just erupting in laughter. And it's supposed to be like,
she swallowed her feelings and let her son go. To me, that's how I took it. She swallowed her feelings and now let her son go.
Oh my God, that like hurts me right now to think about it. Like, so yeah, it was funny. Her son walked out with the good food. So gasping and laughing, gasping. I gasped my lungs out, gasp. Okay, everyone gasped, then laughed. But I was just really surprised. Yeah, I was in like, people were in complete shock. Yeah, you don't see it coming. But it was like Domi, she said, she mentioned that she wanted it to be like a modern gingerbread man retelling. Okay, it was a more of a nervous laugh for me. I was in shock. Yeah, I totally can see that. Dan, what was the reaction in your theater when you guys saw it?
I couldn't hear the way that the theater I went to is it's one of those places where you reserve your seats and you got the recliner chairs and there's kind of like these walls in between sections.
Oh, so weird.
It's not walls, but like it's you're like further away from people.
Yeah. There's a lot of space.
A lot of space, so it's really hard to hear anything. But I was next to my brother-in-law, who it was definitely a gasp to a what? To a laugh.
Yeah.
It was like a what?
Yeah, like, I don't know if anybody.
I don't know how to explain it, but it was like it was one of those things that's like there's a moth in here, and it's like it's got to go. And that just like went behind it. It was one of those things where you don't know if you should be laughing at it.
Hashtag there's a moth in here.
I like how you got ultra serious too. You know, there was like a gasp. There's a moth in here, and it has got to go.
I need to, it needs to just like fly away. It's one of those weird things. Like, do I laugh at that, or do I just get all serious and gasp because she essentially just like ate her baby, right. A dumpling baby? Like, how do you like? I think everybody was like didn't know what to think on that one. But then I understand that. Then at the end, I think at the beginning you're like, what the heck just happened? Right. And then when the whole kind of metaphor plays in, you kind of get what the heck was just going on throughout that whole thing. And you realize that she didn't really just eat her dumpling baby, that it was all kind of just this whole kind of metaphor, symbolism type thing. Right. Then I think you kind of are more at ease with it. But I think that it could be a little unsettling at first for a second until you realize the whole story at play.
Right.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. My sister had a comment. She said that she was like, I don't think any of the little kids got it though. Like they didn't understand what was going on. And in fact, in the most recent time I saw it this last Saturday, there was a kid that said, you know, Mommy, what just happened? Like, I kind of agree that the kids didn't get it. But that's okay. It's not like it was for kids, it's for moviegoers. But at least, you know, when you're talking about a theater that's filled with probably like half people, that was interesting. I'd be interested to see what more like kids thought, but it definitely seemed to connect as far as like in our chat for sure. And by the way, Sarah Robertson mentioned, if you didn't see the comments, Dan, hashtag there is a moth in here.
Oh, now I'm seeing it. Yeah, and in fact, if it flies by me again, I'm probably just gonna like, you guys can chat and I'll try to get it out because it's huge. But I wanted to say that as far as like the film itself, it's beautiful. Like I said, like I'm kind of where you're at, TJ. I'm kind of like in the 8.5, just because I don't feel like yes, the story I think is universal, but I feel like maybe the execution maybe isn't just for everybody. I know that some people I've talked to thought it was a little weird. My brother actually called me up after he saw The Incredibles and he asked me how I liked it. We talked about that for a second, but then he said he was really calling me to ask about that short film because he did not get it. And his whole family was in the car. He's like, what did I just watch? And it wasn't for him. Right. And so I can see where, and then I kind of had to explain it and told him that it was kind of, because I've seen interviews with the director how it was supposed to be this metaphor. He's like, that didn't seem like a metaphor. It's like, that dumpling was real. Like, that's what he said. He's like, that thing was real. And then she ate it. Oh my gosh.
This is great.
Then he ate it. I think it just like kind of disturbed them a little bit. But for me, I thought it was sweet. And once I saw, like I said, the bigger picture, I'm excited for my wife to see it. I'm excited for my parents to see it, to see their mostly to get their take on it. It's one of those movies that it's fun to show people to get kind of their connection or their take on it. But I think it was beautifully done. I liked where it went. I liked that it surprised me because I found for a 6 or 7 minute short, it might have surprised me more than The Incredibles 2 did as far as where it went. Because I was like, where is this going? Yeah. Is this dumpling real? Did she literally just eat her dumpling baby? And then the fact that that dumpling baby resembled her grown-up son, that it was this whole empty nest syndrome thing, that the dumpling's girlfriend was the son's actual girlfriend. It all kind of connected at the end. Then it all clicked, and I really liked it. But I do admit that during it, I'm like,
okay. In terms of shock value, it was one of the most shocking Pixar moments. Yeah, it was weird. Like the whole thing leading up to that big shocking moment. But again, a lot of laughter. The personality of the little dumpling, so funny when it's playing sports, when it gets its little head like kicked in or hit, and then it gets that little indent. Just its little movements, its little like just like leaving out the door with the girlfriend, all those, it was funny. And my family was laughing who I was with. From what I could hear, there was laughter in the audience. So it was funny, it was charming, it had the Pixar heart, and it had the emotion. So I think it hit all the Pixar, checks. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. I just love that like at the end, the son like brought home like the sweet rolls.
Yeah, that was brilliant. That tied it all together.
That's something that they shared on the bus, and I'm just like, oh, my Leo and we have things like that. Is he gonna do that for me and like bring back traditions? And I was just like a mess. I just thought it was very well done.
Yeah.
And as far as the eating thing too, I like your interpretation, and I also think, and from what I believe, this is what I got when I saw it, and I think I read this in an interview later as well. Her name Domi?
Yeah, Domi.
From with the director, yeah, Domi. That the eating thing was kind of like, it's kind of an expression, not even just there in China, maybe more so, but even here, it's like, oh, I could just eat you up. It's like you just want to keep someone so close, you don't want to let them go. It's just, I think she was more so going off making that expression literal, like I could just eat you up. And in the interview, I believe she said, I know it's weird, but that's how she felt. And that's how I think it even came from something her mom said, is I could just eat. Honestly, and this might sound weird, like even my wife Britta says that sometimes. So she's probably gonna relate to that too. She says that to me. She's like, I could just eat you up. So so I think she was maybe more so going off that expression, but I like your interpretation too. It brings it even deeper for me.
That's how I took it.
Yeah.
She was, swallowing her feelings when her son.
That's deep. I like it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Brings it
All right,
a whole different
so
level.
we have a lot to talk about though with Incredibles.
We did.
So let's talk about.
I like
Let's talk about this. Yeah, we'll talk more about coming up as far as like in the in our podcast and everything. But the first thing we have to talk about is the opening castle. How they redid the Disney castle.
Oh yeah.
And how they did the Pixar logo.
Yes.
Holy cow. That was like, that immediately like took me from Bao to the Incredibles. That was, are you trying to go for the moth?
No, I was just suggesting.
Okay, cool.
I haven't seen it for a good 2 minutes, so we'll see.
So yes, other people are saying, yes, that was awesome. So Seth, welcome to the chat. So that is the first time I've seen the Disney castle as stylized as it was, at least that I can think of, for a Pixar film. Yes. And the thing that I thought was really cool is seeing it. So the first time I saw it was the IMAX double feature. Mm-hmm. So it's IMAX, it's Dolby Atmos sound. It's fantastic.
Oh, because they didn't have the opening at your Pixar screening? Did they not show that?
They did not.
Ah,
so I had not seen that.
Interesting. Very cool.
Yeah, no, when we saw it, it started with that opening moment with Tony, or with the Underminer, where it goes.
Oh, you didn't even see the Tony?
Oh, we did see the Tony part. Yeah, we saw the Tony part.
But not the logos.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So we didn't see that opening logo. That was so cool. And so when we were seeing it, when the Tinkerbell like fairy dust or whatever goes over the top of the castle, you could hear it going over in the theater. And after I saw it outside of the IMAX theater, it just wasn't the same. I was like, oh, I lost all the coolness of like the bongos, like.
Yeah.
Is Atmos literally like over you as well? Is that the gimmick?
Yeah.
It's basically everywhere. There are strips of them above you. In fact,
and behind you.
Because I've heard of it, and I heard it's cool. I didn't realize that's kind of what did it.
Brave was the first movie that had Dolby Atmos tested in it, and we actually are.
He's getting published in a textbook.
In a textbook for schools, because of the description and drawing that I gave of like the first experience of Dolby Atmos.
That's awesome.
So, all right,
yeah,
I'll take it. So yeah, it'll be coming out soon. I'll let you know.
That's cool.
Part of the deal that I arranged is that I get a free copy of the book. So the opening castle and logo, the Pixar lamp jumping in there. So Josh Holtzclaw said,
Holtzclaw, yeah, you're right.
Holtzclaw said that how much work went into that. So how cool was that? Did anybody else love that as much as I did?
He freaking loved it. I thought it was awesome, but I didn't.
No, it's amazing. I want that like red and black logo on the wall back there. It was so.
Wasn't it just like literally the same, but just red?
And the lamp was black.
The lamp was black.
The letters were black.
The background was like different colors of black, like shaded.
Shadowed.
And the light inside was yellow to like put the yellowy oranges and reds together, and then it looks towards it.
The castle, the spire, the top of the Cinderella's castle didn't have an Incredibles logo that blinked.
I don't know. I didn't notice that.
I think it did.
I was too drooling over everything else.
See, I was kind of bummed because I like when I was looking at like early reaction tweets and stuff like that from the premiere, and then reading or watching some of like the early YouTube reviews from reviewers, they, even though they were non-spoiler, they actually, and it technically isn't a spoiler as far as plot's concerned, but I kept on seeing that out there. I'm like, oh man, I kind of would have liked to see that without knowing at first. So then like I kind of already knew, so it didn't quite take me by the surprise. It did you, because you hadn't heard of it, did you, before going in?
No, he did not.
See, I wish I had that experience, but
it was so cool. So other people are saying they've never altered the Pixar logo before, right? So the only thing that they've done that I'm aware of, and anybody else keep us honest, is that
3D zoom around.
The 3D
zoom around. Yeah, like so what was that, like Wall-E or something like that? Or I don't even remember which one that was that they did that, but it's just the 3D zoom around of the same.
But they've never altered the Disney castle for a Pixar film.
Right.
They wanted to for Brave, but they were turned down. And then every other film has had something.
It's true.
Has changed the castle.
That was weird.
Oh, and Pixar Freak said Julie is right. I just saw someone tweet that photo of the logo in the castle.
I could have sworn that had
That's super cool. The window in the castle. Yep, Sarah, they did the 3D zoom around. Yes, they did in a couple movies. It basically just like kind of like tilts around it, kind of like when they used to do like THX and all that kind of stuff.
And yes, they did change the music in Coco because they had the like mariachi kind of music.
Correct.
For the Disney thing.
Yeah.
But they didn't change.
That was cool.
Yeah.
They didn't change the castle. No.
Yeah.
Right.
Because Brave, they wanted to drape the tartan fabric.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that was so cool. But so in my opinion, the ways that I saw it, how did you guys see it? We saw it 2D. I actually have not seen 3D. I attempted to, and every time I was like by a theater, driving by a theater, it was never at that time. So how did you see it, Dan?
Mine was Cinemark XD, which is comparable to IMAX screens. I think maybe a little smaller. It was a good.
That's not the 4D with like the seats that move.
It's not the 4D. It's just a nice screen and great theater, great sound. Not Atmos, but it's supposed to be like up there as far as quality. So I had a good viewing experience. I want to do. Even though it's similar, I do want to try to catch it in IMAX. Although I think it might have just gone out of IMAX. I think Jurassic World took its place.
Yeah, it's such a bummer.
There was only like a week window.
I know, it's so lame. And then they did. I wanted to see it in IMAX, which is
what's IMAX?
Even bigger.
It's bigger. It's like twice the size of IMAX.
The screen is the size of a football field. Not even kidding.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's the biggest. It's the biggest screen in Michigan.
I've never heard of that.
Literally,
and it was playing there.
Yeah.
Yes,
for 3 days.
3 days.
Dude, I remember when Attack of the Clones, Star Wars, in 2002, that was the first actual movie feature to be IMAX.
In IMAX, yeah.
And they had to cut a bunch of the movie out because they couldn't even fit it.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't even fit it. And so I remember watching and they had to like cut all these scenes out. And now they could go as big as they want.
Correct. Yeah,
it's crazy. Yeah, because it's digital. That's nuts. Well, that would be cool.
Pixar Freak is asking if our showings had the director commentary at the beginning, like the quick thing with
they all were.
Yeah, they all had that. I've seen it at 3 different franchises like AMC and Imagine.
My brother-in-law leaned over and he goes, "That's interesting. They had to do that." I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, so it was a cool thing. People are talking. Yeah, the intro. It was weird that they're like, and now. Get ready for Incredibles 2.
And he's like, and it will be worth it. It's like planning it in your minds, like it is worth it. So then you leave, you're like, that was worth it.
Yeah. Well, wait a minute. And it will be worth it. Enter Bao.
Oh, that's true. No, he's actually right because my brother-in-law was like, oh yeah, and then like Bao came on.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah, Sarah said, and it goes straight into Bao, right?
Yeah, that's so funny.
Hilarious. And so many people
and everyone was like, huh?
Yeah, they're like, I don't think. And like, is this the first time that anybody's seen an animated film? Like all the way from like way back, there was a short film. I remember like short films with like Who Framed Roger Rabbit in the theaters. Like
It's so funny though, but even as a Pixar mega fan, I even forgot about the short for a second because I'm like, oh yeah, this is it. And then it came out and like, so in that moment, I obviously knew going in that we were going to see Bao, but in that moment, totally forgot about it.
Yes. It should have been almost something like Bao, then that intro, then the movie.
Yeah, that's too funny.
No.
Yeah.
No. So somebody's Eliana's asking, is the IMAX screen similar to the screen in Soarin' Around the World?
I don't know. We haven't been to it.
That was more like encapsulating. That was
you're close.
Yeah. That kind of it's caved. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah. No, it's still flat. It's just huge.
We've not seen a film in it, but we can drive by the building that this film is, that the screen is in.
We can see it.
Ginormous.
We've seen plenty of advertisements for it. So, okay. So we've only talked about the castle and we're like 40 minutes. So I tried to write down like little insights too. So, we get to the intro. We've got Rick Dicker, Agent Dicker, who's like talking to Tony. And he's like, file 82-712, so I started writing down that stuff.
That they set up that they're basically erased Tony's memory because that sets up Violet's story.
Right. Exactly. So, when he's replaying, so Tony, and this is something we can talk about that you and I touched on, Dan. So in a second about Tony, is the handheld camera work in this, I don't think I'm ever going to get over it. The handheld camera work from the Blue Umbrella was the first one that they did this tech on.
Yes.
It was the short film, but now we've been using it in every movie since, and in a little bit better fashion, in a little bit different ways. So they're replaying the scene that we saw at the end of Incredibles 1, where Tony is approaching Violet and going to ask her like to go to the movies Friday. So when he's walking down the stairs, the camera is literally like he's walking down the stairs. And I was like, oh my God, it's so awesome. They also do it when the Underminer's like walking into the vault to like use his little vacuum to suck up all the money, which I still want to go into a vault where it's just piles of cash laying around.
Gold coin.
Yeah. And then they do it a little bit later. One of my favorite scenes, when Elastigirl's chasing Screenslaver down the hall to like go get him, and he like punches out the light and everything. They do it in there too.
Yeah.
But that I loved that handheld motion that was coming in there. But among this, so Pixar posted, why don't you use OBS program to stream like these guys? I don't know who these guys are, but
yeah, I was wondering who's these guys.
Yeah, OBS, I believe. It involves extra protocols, and I think it's Mac based. I mean, it's Windows based, and we have a Mac. Yeah. There's other things that are part of it that I looked into, but I did look at it because you can get a little bit higher quality out of it.
I do agree with, real quick, I just want to agree with Pixar Freak. I also was taken back a little bit because Bud Lucky's voice was so distinct, and I was hoping they were going to get a little closer with that one, and it wasn't quite there for me, unfortunately.
So there was a lot of that.
Yeah.
That a couple people had said that. I mean, unfortunately, Bud Lucky had an extremely unique voice. Yeah. And it doesn't seem like it should be. It's just very like slow westerny kind of cowboy, kind of tough guy, kind of.
Yeah.
I thought they were actually going to be able to get quite closer. But it just shows you how important voice casting is, because I mean, Bud was cast for a reason from the beginning because of his uniqueness.
Right.
And to recapture that's very difficult.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Dash, they nailed
he was pretty good. I could tell sometimes, but I will give him huge props for that.
I mean, I thought Dash was a better Dash than Nemo was a better Nemo.
That I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought his was like as close as you probably could get.
Oh, I loved him. I loved Dash's character.
Yeah.
In this.
Yeah, he didn't take me out too much when I was watching it. I was hearing Dash when I was watching, so that was good.
Yeah. Okay, so what did you talk to me about with Tony? Because I had seen a couple other people talk about this, and there's even a post in our forum about it too. So talk about that, Dan.
Okay, so I think I know what you're talking about. So with
the differences in Tony.
Oh, as far as the animation.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought we were talking about the mind wipe. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. So yeah, that was before I had seen anybody even talk about it. Apparently it's a thing now. But yeah, I was kind of confused why they couldn't animate or at least design the new Tony rig, because I knew there would be upgrades to the animation in the film. That's obvious. It's been 14 years, and we've seen Pixar sequels improve. But at least I thought that they would keep the feel of Tony or the look of Tony, and they didn't. They kind of went with almost a new design, and it made me feel like I was watching a different character, to the point where I couldn't even really connect with him, because I felt like I was watching this whole new character in this whole new scenario, even though in my mind I'm like, this is a continuation from the last one. So it was like this weird thing. And I've seen now people say he's an animated character. You don't even have to worry about people getting older in animation, and yet you still make them different. So that was kind of a weird choice, I thought.
Yeah, he definitely was different. There's a whole forum.
Yeah, because if you see, before Incredibles and Incredibles 2, he is much different. But for me, I wasn't focused on Tony. I was focused on Violet and on the Incredibles. So for me, I didn't notice. I noticed there was a change, especially with his hair color, but really it was his hair color that
shape of his face,
his hair, the shape of his head, his forehead, his eyes, the kind of the bags under his eyes, all of it.
Yeah, it didn't faze me.
Oh, interesting. Did it you, TJ?
No, it didn't at all. In fact, I liked it better because I was like, I think this is a better look for him.
Oh, it's a totally better look. It's a better design. Right. It's a better rig. It's animated better. He looks, you know, the original Tony looked a little wonky. Probably they made him more attractive looking in this one, but still, I wish they would have honored the original just a little bit more, since it is supposed to be the same character.
Right.
Even though this one does look better.
I get where you're going with it. I mean, but I guess we're like, if you look at like even Dash and all that, Dash looks quite a bit different in his face.
They all do,
but definitely
they all look improved upon the originals. But he looked like a totally different character. That's
he was definitely due. So would that be due to technology changes? Totally. Sarah's asking. It's definitely that's allowing them to. I think honestly, it was probably like he was considered probably a secondary character. His rig didn't get much attention. And so now it did.
Yeah, I think it was a matter of, hey, we couldn't really do this guy justice in the first one. Let's go what we wanted to do originally.
Exactly.
And maybe this is closer to what they envisioned 14 years ago. So I understand that, because you want to perfect as a director, you want to improve upon things you would have wanted to fix previously. And this was their chance probably to do that.
Yeah. But I do agree. Like I said, there's a forum post about it. There's literally a side-by-side YouTube video that plays in there that they talk about, like, you know, showing both of them walking in those scenes and everything. And you're like, yeah, that's pretty different.
Here's a question though, with the flashback of their original interaction from the first film.
Yeah.
Even though we obviously know all the animation was redone there, was the voice track the same? Do you think?
Ooh, I don't.
Like when they redid that when they like met, when he's like, "Hey, you're Violet, right?"
Oh darn!
No, because they didn't say, "I'll buy the popcorn."
They could have cut that part.
Yeah, I don't know.
Watch it next time, TJ. See if you can tell the difference.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. I didn't pay attention to that.
Because kind of like in Finding Dory, when they did when Marlon meets Dory. They reanimated, but I'm pretty sure the voice track's the original one. So I'll have to pay attention next time.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So Chandra is saying Brad Bird literally said that this Incredibles is the closest to how I wanted them to be. So
exactly. That's there you go. Kind of where I was headed. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So Underminer. So now we've got the Underminer coming up. I love when he blows up the bank vault and you could hear like the Of course, I'm paying attention to all that stuff too.
Because you're watching it in Atmos, so you're like hearing it all over.
Yeah, it was so cool. I loved that.
It spoiled you.
I loved that sound. It was like so cool. So he explodes. The door explodes. Okay, and this is where I wrote the note. Too loud. Did anybody else, when they were in the theater, think that the volume was potentially too loud? And I know this is not exclusive to this movie. It's about potentially movies in general. I just want to get everybody's pulse in the chat real quick. Are movies too loud? Could they be a little less? Should they be a little more?
Jurassic World was pretty loud.
Jurassic World was like ear splitting. But
I didn't notice this to be too.
So when we saw it, it wasn't as bad. Yeah. When I saw it in IMAX, I had literally 13 people with me.
Yeah.
And they were like, after the first one, because it was a double feature and we had the pause in between, they were like, yeah, it's a little loud. Like, it was pretty extreme. Like, it was ear splitting. So what do you think about from your perspective, Dan?
From my perspective, I like loud. Like, it's a pet peeve when I go into a theater and the volume is just not there. And I have to be like paying attention. Like, I can barely hear the dialogue. Like, sometimes I like the previews are super loud. I'm like, oh yeah. And then the movie comes on and I'm like, where does the sound go?
Right.
And so for me, it could never be too loud. I love sound and I love seeing movies with loud sound. Like in our bedroom, we have the sub and we have the speakers everywhere and like the surround sound, and I crank it up and Britta's like, turn it down. So like, so I like loud sound. It didn't bother me.
Okay.
In fact, I wanted our theater to be up a couple notches.
Okay. And it's a mixed bag. And so it's obviously just theater dependent because it's a mixed bag in the comments as well. Some people are like, sometimes Incredibles 2D was fine. It was actually too quiet at times. Some other people said, yeah, it's a little bit. So it's kind of all over the place. But Chicken Turtle also pointed out Underminer got away just like Bomb Voyage. And that bothered me again. I'm like, come on, get the Underminer. just like Bon Voyage.
Bon Voyage is one of the best villains.
Oh.
I think that was perfect writing.
Absolutely. He's still a classic. People wanted to know where he was. Yeah. They were like, where's Bon Voyage?
I'm glad they didn't. Just like Honey.
Yeah.
I am glad Honey
was Frozone's wife.
Frozone's wife did not make an appearance.
Yep.
I think that was a smart
we
choice.
should just kind of talk about everything rather than break down the whole movie because it's already been close to an hour.
Yes. I liked and we talked about this in the trailer, the the noise when Mr. Incredible throws the Underminer onto the thing. It's the Wall-E alert that like things are going wrong. I love that. Chandra says, do you guys think Screenslaver could have been used better? We'll save a little Screenslaver talk for a couple minutes because yes.
Oh, really?
Luis, yeah, let's save it for a minute. Luis says, I'm surprised Underminer put up a good fight. I thought Mr. Incredible would easily shredded him. Totally.
Like, yeah, I've actually seen that point out there that how on earth was he that much of a struggle for the whole family? I mean, he's like this mole guy and he's not like, I don't know, he's not overpowered. He doesn't have these crazy superpowers. It doesn't seem
scrappy.
He's kind of scrappy.
Yeah.
And now he's out there at large again. What's going on?
I know.
We waited 14 years for them to save the day and defeat the Underminer. And then the Underminer is just like drilling his way to who knows where. And he's still out there causing trouble.
Right. Aiden says, I wish they used more of him. He was a fan favorite of his. Okay. This moment I have to talk about too. Violet throwing her force fields, the sound when she does it.
Isn't it like the...
Yes!
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, you talked about that as soon as you...
Oh my God, I wanted her to keep throwing them. How come she doesn't throw them more?
Did she only do it the opening scene?
Yeah, I think so.
She did it like one other time where it was kind of like not like throwing them as far, where she was fighting Void and it was kind of like she smacked her with it. But it wasn't like that same way. That was incredible. I loved it. I wrote amazing after that. Oh, and then we get to the end of that scene. The music is rip roaring. That's when I'm already like totally sold on Michael Giacchino's score.
Oh my gosh. We will talk about it, but...
You want us to talk about it now?
Yes.
Okay, talk about it now, yeah.
So the best score part in this entire film was the very end, all the action sequence that took place on the hydroliner, the boat, the Devers boat.
Yep.
Oh my.
Okay, so you like that part the
I
best.
loved the music. As soon as it ended, I told you, I said, that music gave me chill. Like that movie had me like breathing. Just it made the intense, like the action sequence so much more intense, especially like when they're in the plane, Elastigirl and Screenslaver is in the, in the airplane and, or Eleanor, I should just say.
Yeah.
Not Eleanor, but they're in the thing, and I was just like, oh my gosh, the music made it so much better.
Okay, so
Evelyn, I said Eleanor because I got brave on mine.
my favorite musical moment was, hello, do I have your attention? And yes, Chad. Like, okay, so that part when the ambassador attack, when it leads up to that and she's figuring out that the screen, she's running down the hall, she busts open the door, hey, and everybody in the control room, that leading up to that moment, I'm getting chills right now if you can see these. It's so creepy, like vibes. I don't even know
which track on the soundtrack is it? Do you remember what it's called? One of his puns? Michael's puns? Because now that you're mentioning it, I want to listen to it later. And
so it's the ambassador thing, but I don't know if that whole version is on the score.
Oh, I hate when they do that. I hate when they leave out good tracks.
I think it's like part of it wasn't on there, but it was.
Well, I'll listen to it next.
Yeah, the ambassador moment, and then that whole lead up where she's like, which helicopter, and like which aerocade or whatever, and which one in the aerocade? She goes flying up there, and it's still all this low, creepy. And then once she gets in there and they're like, get down, we're going to get attacked. She ducks down. Holy cow, I want to see this movie again. And like the plane comes over and crashes out the cockpit of the other one. Like, it's just that is my key moment right there. That one was so good.
So speaking of that moment.
Yes.
Dan, do you feel the same way TJ does about Elastigirl? Now, what did you think was her overused?
Her parachute. She parachuted herself like 20 times in this. So she's
like 5 times, I think.
Okay, fine. Maybe not that many. You'd realize that's an exaggeration.
That was like your only thing that you said.
Yes, it's Ambassador Ambush, Aiden saying it.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
So yeah, so she does it at the very beginning. She does it with the Ambassador. She does it with the train sequence. She does it with Screenslaver. She does it with Void. And then she does it one other time in this. It's 5 times, I think I counted. I was like, too many times.
When she saves Evelyn.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she does it when she saves Evelyn, too. I think that was part of the part I was thinking with Void.
No, because Screenslaver, guys. Oh, you're right. It is with Void.
Yeah, with Void and that. So I think there's 5 times. I was like, she went to that too many times.
Yeah, see, that before we went live, we talked a lot about my problems, and that wasn't one that stood out. But now it will. So thanks. Next time I see it, I'm probably gonna count, and I'll probably count 6. You probably missed one in there somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure. It didn't bother me though.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It didn't hit me.
Well, after the 5th viewing, I was like,
that's true. Once you see it, I only saw it once, though.
Right. And so Paulina says, but it looks so cool.
It does.
It does look super cool.
I would do it all the time. I would jump off stuff all the time.
I just feel like maybe she did it too much. I don't know.
What is she supposed to do?
Too many ways to rescue people. Find a new way. So that one was cool. And then Flying Squirrel Elastigirl, where she's like, where she's hunting the Screenslaver. She's got Evelyn to get her to make the thing.
Yeah. So let's talk about the introduction to the Screenslaver at Screenslaver's apartment.
You want to go right there?
Yeah, I want to go right there.
Oh man. Okay.
We can't break down every scene. Okay, we'll do that in a podcast.
Okay.
Julie, so did you notice, or both of you, since you brought it up though, I'm talking to you, that Screenslaver's voice was not the same as it was in the trailer?
It wasn't?
It was not.
I did not.
It was a little different. They definitely did something between the trailer and the film to alter it a little bit and to fine tune it, because it was not the same.
Oh,
that
definitely pay attention. See if you agree with me. Maybe I'm totally off my rocker, but anybody in the chat think that I have something? Let me know.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I'm gonna have to listen. But holy cow, when she's in the apartment and she like has her arm.
Okay, hang on. So she's gone through the motorcade. So now the next night she's on the phone. There's one more thing we have to talk about before that. We'll go back to it. But so she's got her little device. She's on top of the radio tower. She's about to track where his signal's coming from. And so that's also incredible. That whole thing, that whole monologue. I was like frantically shorthanding it and writing it down through a lot of these times. So she's on her way to find him. And he says, the timing is so great. So come on and find me. And then boom, she jumps through the bars in the window. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then she has her hand like through the bottom of the door and she like unlocks it. And look how tiny my hands look.
Put them closer to the camera.
Yeah. So
does anybody else watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Yeah.
Are you Jack, the lawyer?
Yeah. So, but then the silhouette of Screenslaver is there. Oh, it was so scary. I was like, oh gosh. Then like she opened the door and then he wasn't there, but he's in the room. And then she starts turning on the lights and wrestling and stuff. And you're just like, be quiet.
Yeah.
Your thing, you just said he was in there. Stop turning on lights.
Something I saw someone say, I hadn't thought of this, but because Elastigirl is seen going completely flat multiple times.
Yes.
And people were saying, why doesn't she just like flatten herself and go under the door if she can get her hand under the door? But
that's suspenseful, scary.
But it's not as cool.
Ooh, because she wanted to unlock it. And
I will say that that whole sequence between, starting from infiltrating the apartment, even probably prior to that, and the whole thing through, and I know we'll probably talk about it more, to that insane fight, the stylized fight. I know we're not going to go there quite yet because that's a whole different thing. that's the moment when I was like, that is Pixar pushing the limits. Classic Pixar pushing the artistic limits. It reminded me kind of like
Inside Out.
Inside Out with when drawing a blank.
Yes, where they went into the.
Why can't I think about it?
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Oh my!
We have to say
abstract thought.
Abstract.
Oh my gosh! It reminded me of that in the sense of this is blowing my mind right now with the music, the flashing. I will say that whole sequence is one of my favorites in the film. That and the motorcycle chase. Those are the two.
Oh. And unfortunately, this whole screen slave, it's not unfortunate, but it's the reason why we have not taken our son to go see the movie.
Yeah.
Because it's a bit scary. Yeah. Well, you knew he was scary from the moment he tilted his head in the trailer.
Yeah. I wrote that down in my notes. Dog tilts their head, cute and inquisitive. Human tilts their head, crazy psycho.
Yeah.
Exactly. That is true.
But wait, I tilt my head a lot. But I smile.
That's true. You don't have a mask with a voice changer and killing people and enslaving people, so that's good.
So we're just gonna have to talk about it now.
Okay, let's just do it.
Okay, so when I was at the studio and I was talking to Ralph Eggleston,
had you seen that part?
Yeah, did you see this fight scene?
Absolutely not.
Oh,
absolutely not. But
they saved that. They knew they had something special.
Oh my gosh, yes. But I started talking about the screenslaver and what's coming and all this other stuff. And at that point, the name hadn't even been revealed. We didn't even know who he was yet. But so I talked to him about it. I'm like, oh man, what else is coming? All this other stuff. And Ralph was like, the PR person's in the room, and Ralph's like, she looked away, and he's like telling me to look right over there. And right behind her is like this huge board that you always see them like doing like the pitches of like the design and everything. It's all his design work. Well, not just his, but the sets team and everything. And I was like, oh my gosh, seeing it from the top is incredible. It's actually his lair is shaped like his apartment is shaped like a spiral. And so when she's walking, she's actually like walking along this like internal corridor
to that
is where like the center part is. And it was like super cool. It wasn't the storyboards, Sarah, as you're saying. It was more like the sets design. Like the overall feel. But yeah, it's supposed to be like a spiral. So she's like trapped in there. It's also like the hypnosis kind of thing. That we need more of that concept art. We need more of everything that was there.
Do they show that in the? Is that known in the film how it's set up? Did they ever show it like a bird's eye, or you only know that because you saw the layout?
Yeah.
See, I wish they would have incorporated that concept visually so that we could have seen that, because that's such a cool idea.
I don't think you even get that sense.
No, not fully. Not fully, but when she's walking around like that design that's like an eye that has all those other little circles that reflect her and everything.
It's a cool idea.
It was that whole scene is masterful. And I hate to say that because it was friggin' scary, but that was part of what you're talking about when you're saying that was a film made in an animation studio. That was a straight up like scary movie scene. Yeah, that was a thriller.
That was an action sequence made at Pixar.
Like so like one of the most disturbing aspects of like thriller movies is infiltrating the psychopath's den and seeing their their plan and their weird things on the desk, like things on the wall, them putting together stuff, and seeing newspaper clippings like in Unbreakable when they at the end of Unbreakable. That kind of stuff is always such a creepy concept, and obviously this wasn't the first time we've seen that, but they did it so well.
Yeah.
And it made it creepy.
Oh man, his face in the shadows, and then she's walking down there, and you just hear like that.
When the cage closes and then the lights go on, I was like, "What? Is happening?"
Oh my god!
Because you're like, okay, the animation like looks like it's still there, but it kind of looks. Oh my gosh, is it like 2D? Is it like what's that Spider-Man movie that's coming out? Kind of looked like that.
Yeah, it was almost like a hand-drawn
animation.
It probably it had definitely a few techniques going on at the same time.
I need a meeting with Pixar to just talk about that scene. It was so cool. Incredible.
Mm-hmm.
That
was a standout.
So the guy sitting next to me, his name's Evan in the double feature, and he just goes, "Oof." When you saw his like silhouette, and we go through that whole screen, and like everybody, you could see people like as that scene was going on, like their hands are getting closer and closer to their mouth. Like,
oh, I was
it was so awesome.
You know what I appreciated was that they didn't use the opportunity, the fact that we knew he was there somewhere in the room, but they didn't use that opportunity for a cheap jump scare. He was just there. And then they battled it out.
They did a scare. Something fell or something.
Yeah, they did. They definitely. It was the clock. It was the clock. The hypnomatic clock.
But when the screenslaver appeared, they didn't use that as like a pop out moment where he just like straight up. They just start fighting, and I appreciate. I'm like, oh no, he's just gonna pop out somewhere. But they didn't. I don't remember since again I've seen it a few weeks back, but I'll have to pay attention to that. But I like the way they handled the tension.
Yeah, so Louise is talking about something else I want to talk about too, which is the electricity of the taser. It kind of deflated her elasticity or something. Every time he would hit her, her arm would stretch all the way out and get extra rubbery.
Oh, crazy.
Like, I was like, oh man, what is happening to her? And like, I didn't know that was a thing. Like that electricity would like make her like, and it was like red too. It was like a red bolt that would hit her. And that was intense. And then she takes him out, and then she's like slamming him against that shelf, and it was like bong, bong, bong. Like it was so cool.
Yeah.
And the whole I can't even. It's literally one of my favorite Pixar moments. So then she's chasing him out the hall, like down that hall.
You keep talking about this scene so much.
And how he punched out the light. And then he goes around the corner. She reaches her arm around, and he's just out of her reach. It snaps back, and then she turns the corner. He pulls the fire alarm. She's jumping over people, bumping into him. Sorry. He goes flying out the window. She goes after him, parachutes, lands on the ground with him.
Pizza Planet truck.
It's in the background right there. So is
it the pizza guy's truck?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think now I'm going totally out on a limb here. I think that is Brad Bird's way for saying, sorry, guys, I didn't incorporate the Pizza Planet truck in the first film, because now not only are you getting the Pizza Planet truck, but you're getting the driver.
Yeah, that's so funny.
So we've obviously know that there was a driver before. You can get a super fast motion glimpse of him in Coco, and he was obviously in Toy Story. Hey, come on, hurry up, man.
Yeah.
Pizzas are getting cold here.
Yeah. So it was so good. It was so good.
And you've seen it 5 times now, and you're still freaking out like you just saw it.
It is one of the most amazing Pixar sequences I have seen. It was that good. So I cannot get over it.
Let's go from that one.
Well, hang on. We have to talk about, let's just finish Screenslaver in general.
Okay.
Other people were saying, is he underutilized? People were saying they took a half a point off for him. Why do you think that sentiment is coming up?
I wish it was utilized more.
Okay. Just because you liked him?
I liked it. I like that it was, Evelyn doing it. You kind of get that sense and stuff, but I really like I guess everyone kind of became like a screenslaver, because everyone kind of became hypnotized, and how when Frozone, Elastigirl, and Mr. Incredible had the goggles on, the hypno glasses, how their faces, like,
yeah, they got like dead in a way,
and like, oh, so creepy. Like, so that was kind of cool. But I guess I just like that action sequence that we just talked about. I kind of wish there was another one like that. But then I guess Evelyn was screenslaver. And the other scene that was kind of like disturbing in a good way was when Elastigirl was in that cold temperature room.
Oh man.
And she was like bound, and Evelyn was like, don't stretch too far, you'll break. And I was like, oh man.
I know, that is
that's
dark.
So dark, but in like such a cool way.
Yeah.
Like, it's such like a cool superhero way, because you're like, yeah, you would, because like, my gosh, when I was a kid, I used to put gum in the freezer to save it, because you're a kid, and it would snap, and I was like, oh, that's the first thing I thought of.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
The first thing I thought of in that scene was just how clever it was, because villains need to find ways to defeat these different powers that these characters have. And that was such a clever way to, along with, you said that she had like at least the screenslaver, when it was the pizza guy, he had some kind of gun that made her kind of go all wonky. her elasticity.
Yeah.
You said, yeah. So there was that way. And then the freezing of the, the freezing room. Yeah. So both of those were really clever ways to defeat her, capabilities, because you got to play off that. And the freezing thing was just like, oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Brilliant and dark. And like, I was like, oh my gosh.
And just picturing her like snapping like an icicle. Ah, yeah. Crazy.
And it was pretty dark when she's like, are you going to kill me? And she's like, no, I find it better to use you instead.
Yeah, but then it got dark.
And she did the head tilt.
Yeah, but then it got dark again when they were on the airplane.
Oh my gosh.
And she was like soaring up to like space, kind of like where it was like too much pressure.
The issue was lack of oxygen.
That was another moment where I was thinking the same thing. And I was thinking that's another moment where I was completely forgetting about the animation genre, and I just felt like I was watching a action flick.
Yes.
That just straight up live action. It was just, I could feel like the oxygen getting sucked out of me, like the way, the sound, the visuals staged so well.
Chandra's saying, I wonder if Evelyn inspired her brother to choose Elastigirl. Absolutely, because she did the cost benefit analysis.
Oh yeah, it was all.
And she probably figured that she was the one that would like, be the choice. Like Mr. Incredible, he would probably like, he defeated, she doesn't know all this, but he defeated the Omni Droid and all that other stuff.
And think about it, it's a woman. So woman to woman, you're going to have that bond. So of course she chose Elastigirl because
like get on her side more.
They could click together.
You're right.
They have, girls get together, we feel like we have a bond. So
because she thought like the whole like,
I'm rooting for
you. Earlier on, and the technology is like perfect when they were looking at the name badges, and she does
because she's like, I'm awesome in technology. I'm creating all of these inventions. I'm a woman. You're the awesome superhero. I want you. We'll be these like awesome together. I get that. I'm glad that it played out that way. I thought it worked.
Yeah, okay. So Evelyn, as much as people are like, it was predictable, blah, blah, blah. Like we kind of knew a lot of people were coming out of the theater and I could hear them saying that, like, okay, that's the case. You got to admit, she was pretty darn dark and villainous though.
Yeah.
Like as much as you may not have thought it was like, like predictable.
It was her and it wasn't her at the same time. Cause she was dark. People and
yeah. I just don't know if they needed to do the surprise villain again. Because villains can work very well just on their own, just being a new character, being a new villain. Hopper from A Bug's Life, he wasn't a surprise, but he was a great villain. Syndrome, he wasn't a surprise, but he made a great villain. He was just another one of the characters. So I don't know. I would have liked it if the Screenslaver was just a great villain and didn't need to. It would have just been stronger for me if there wasn't the whole surprise aspect, because it wasn't a surprise.
Now, something to think about though. In terms of like Brad Bird's movies, he hasn't done a surprise villain.
I mean, technically not, but in the Disney Pixar lineup in the last,
it's much more common. Yes, of course,
very common.
But at least for him, it wasn't overutilized.
True.
What's cool about this is it like, I guess it was a kind of a surprise, but kind of not. I don't know. It's hard. I don't know what I'm trying to say. But it's like. I don't know. I really liked the Screenslaver. I just wish it would have saved the Pizza Planet truck guy for a little bit longer because I thought that part was so.
But was it
the mask of Screenslaver was so
like creepy. Screenslaver in the way that we like his design, like how we know him as like the action figures portray him and everything. Very, very little screen time, and I think that's a great design. I do wish it was utilized a bit longer because it's on the monitor when he comes up.
Right.
And announces himself. And then there's the apartment scene and then the reveal. I mean, the reveal that it's the pizza guy. And then that character is gone. And then it's the actual Screenslaver from then on out.
So Louise says, I feel like her motivation was strong. It just wasn't the writing didn't convey it properly. It took more watches to truly understand what she meant. So yeah, I can see that people could see that. She's villainous.
Yeah, she's awesome.
She is.
Yeah. So a couple people talking about the seizure aspect as far as like the photosensitivity of that fight scene. So we'll just talk real quick. I don't think they planned it. I don't think they thought that far ahead. And this is one of those things that, you know, other people are like, well, shouldn't you know that? But you're talking about a lot of young children in the audience that they might not have been exposed to a photosensitive issue yet. And even if you're talking about 1 to 2 people, I don't even know the scale at which this was. I know that a couple people that I know at work that have some sensitivity, they closed their eyes and they were okay through it. But it is kind of a bummer. But at the same point, that scene would not have had the impact in the hypnosis feeling that it had without having that.
And they're just telling their story. I mean, people can have a seizure during a flashy any scene in any movie.
Right. Don't go to a concert.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, you can't cater to every single person. So they were just telling their story and trying to make it as visually exciting as possible.
I think it really came into the fact that it was.
But I mean, Disney did the right thing by.
They added the message just to be, Sure. So anyways, just something that was out there.
So let's kind of backtrack a little bit.
Okay.
And talk about, we'll do Jack Jack.
Okay. Jack Jack. Oh man, I got to get to my notes. You start talking. Now I got to find it in here.
How awesome is Jack Jack? Dan, did you like Jack Jack?
Well, okay. Well, here's the thing. I feel like they went a little more cartoony than they. It's a cartoon, but I mean cartoony in the sense that a little. How do you explain it? How do you call a cartoon cartoony when it's already a cartoon? But like a little bit more silly with Jack Jack, like almost like. He was more of a baby in the first one. He just did baby things like with his mouth, and they gave him much more of like a personality, like walking around with the lollipop and giving those eyebrows. Like they exaggerated him way more than he was in the first one, almost like Boss Baby level. So I don't know. He almost seemed like a totally different character for me.
So I think that
personally.
So like Paulina says, my baby. Diego, he steals the movie.
That's what everyone says.
Magda and Sarah, the fight with the raccoon. I think Jack Jack is very cute because he loves Edna Mode. The lollipop. I
don't think he stole the movie, but I think he was in a very integral part of the movie.
Yeah.
Because he's definitely a hit with general audiences. I know like I said, my brother-in-law, he was cracking up, and the audience. I read into things though, so I kind of compare and I see kind of how I'm feeling to the first film, and so like I'm kind of digging deeper. But the normal people who see this, they're just gonna crack up and see it.
Yeah, because I like the fact that when Bob, Mr. Incredible, is at home watching the kids and the Elastigirl's out, I like the fact that like he keeps trying to put Jack Jack
in the crib
to go to bed, and he like basically, I got this, and he comes out, and then Jack Jack's there. That is awesome. That's hilarious because
our son was an escape artist.
Yes. Not only was he an escape artist, but you just think of it. That's how Jack Jack's doing it. But then our son would just, he'd cry or he'd, get out. But even just crying, like I was just like, oh, that's hilarious because that's what you do. As soon as you'd like touch the door and they'd start crying after you think you got them to sleep. So I thought that was really funny. Mm-hmm. They just exaggerated it a bit. So I like that. And then I loved all of Jack Jack's powers, that they really kind of put that on display. Yeah. And we've talked about it in Teddy Newton's scene with the raccoon.
Yeah.
So you thought it was funnier than I did.
Holy cow. I
liked it. I enjoyed it. But it's funny because I enjoyed the scene after when the raccoon came back and Jack Jack's kind of going like this. They're
sizing each other up like outlaws and out the window.
Yeah.
Okay, so Luis says there's a multiplication. The multiplication power was his favorite. Let us know in the chat what your favorite power of Jack Jack's was. I do have a comment about the multiplication in a minute. But there's something that, and we learned this term from Giovanni, our friend, that it's called keep alive. So the background. So when Jack Jack is not the center of attention, any of the background characters, the keep alive is what you're doing as you're animating the background characters, so that way they're not just dead while the foreground characters are acting. And the keep alive stuff with Jack Jack is some of my favorite stuff.
Yeah.
So when they're having like that big argument at the table, he's got the pieces of broccoli on his plate, and he's just like on his like high chair stand, and he's just like going like this, moving around, and then like puts them in his mouth, and he's looking around. And one of my all-time favorite keep alive moments, it's not even keep alive at this point because he's kind of there, but you're not supposed to fully pay attention to him, is where Mr. Incredible is holding Jack Jack, and he's seeing the gift basket for Elastigirl. She walks into the room with her new Alexander Galbaki suit, and Mr. Incredible eats a grape, and Jack Jack takes his pacifier out and goes, like he's doing like the more like I want some. Like I was like, that is so good. Like that is baby all the way. Whoever animated all that stuff was like, woo, ridiculous.
See, that's the baby stuff. That's like that could have been in the first one. I like that stuff. But then I think that some things were a little bit too far. But I did want to mention, going back to the raccoon, that I did find it super clever. The introduction of the raccoon with the TV bandit and then the raccoon bandit, that was clever. I like that a lot. Yeah, absolutely. One of my this is a total Brad Bird moment where, at least I assume so, where he's jumped down from Mr. Incredible and he's walked away from him. So you've got Mr. Incredible here in the frame. Sorry for being like, it looks like I'm like right on your face. It's like Mr. Incredible, like right here in the couch, like slumped over. The baby's all the way here, right next to the TV, which is here, and the light that's coming out of the TV, the inverse square law of light as it falls off and goes. And it's like, oh my God, that was like so amazing. That shot, the layout was great. There's so many shots in this that are great. And I was lucky enough to eat lunch with Mayar Abu Saidi when I was at the studio, and he was like the camera staging layout lead on this. And like, oh my God, some of the shots that were selected are just amazing. But that scene with the raccoon was Teddy Newton's idea from the first film.
That they couldn't do.
That they couldn't do because of technology. It wouldn't allow him to do all the things that they needed Jack Jack to turn into and become. So they always knew he had all these powers. They just didn't know where to slot them in. Where would it have fit in the first one?
I don't know.
That's probably why it was a cut idea, because how do you execute it? But that felt so Teddy Newton. Think about like the raccoon and him tumbling around, and think of the Short Day and Night that Teddy Newton directed, like how that flows. And like when the raccoon's in the lasers are coming in on the post of the umbrella, and it's like, and then he gets caught in it, doom, 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 falls like 3 hits, and then he's like trying to get out. 1, 2, 3, he comes out. That is like presto. That is like Looney Tunes. That is comedy amazement. Like, so I loved every second of that. And we did see that at the studio. And they were rip-roaring in there. And then when we saw it in the double feature, I was so thrilled that people were just like doubling over in their seats. Like, that scene deserves everything it gets, I think. Teddy Newton.
And we do quote Num Num Cookie a lot.
Yeah. That is one that I say. I don't remember a lot of quotes from the movie, but I do say that one again.
And you have to say about tired sounding too. Num Num Cookie.
Cookies. That sounds just like it, Dan.
Cookies. Num Num Cookie.
Did you notice on the cookies that they didn't look like, they looked like they were like baked cookies, where when you saw the underside of the cookie, the browning was thicker on the outer ridge of the cookie and then got lighter towards the middle.
I'll have to look next time.
I was like, dang it, that's so good.
And speaking of Num Num Cookies, I hear that Jack Jack's Num Num Cookies at Pixar Pier that opened up this past Saturday, that the actual chocolate chip cookies is like the best thing in the world.
I heard it's good. It's thick and they warm it up for a little minute.
It's gooey in the middle. Gooey. Paulina has probably tried it because she
did order it. She took a picture of it. Yeah, let us know what you thought.
Yeah, she's been at Pixar Pier like every day.
And the cookies at Pixar Pier are amazing. Yes.
Oh man, I keep seeing these cookies and I really want one.
Yeah.
So sorry about Num Num Cookies.
No, that's fine.
But that is some of the best vocal work I think in the film is by Mr. Incredible, just sounding tired.
Oh my gosh.
And
yes.
Frozone. Oh my gosh.
Let's talk about Frozone.
His responses were funny.
Okay. I love how much Frozone is in this film.
Yeah.
I think he's awesome. I think he's hilarious. Our son loves him so much that I had to buy an extra Frozone shirt so he has it for next year when he's bigger. He's hilarious.
Yeah.
I love him. And I mentioned it earlier, but I'm glad that the team decided not to show Honey.
Correct.
Even though they built an entire rig of her.
I still don't know which character she became, but I kind of feel like it might have been the ambassador because they have similar body types.
That was a smart choice because when you build someone up with just a voice, like everyone has their idea of what Honey would look like, and if you just showed her, then it just wouldn't live up to what people think.
Right.
It was way smarter to just keep what people remembered.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So Frozone, we also talked about how great it is, like how much of a solid, I mean, like you knew he was always supporting Mr. Incredible. He was trying to get him to be the straight and narrow kind of guy. Like, you know, I'd rather not be going, how about we do what our wives actually think we're doing?
But they showed what like a sweetheart he is to the family.
Yeah.
Like the kids really had like a special relationship with him. And I just thought that was so like pure. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool.
It was really, really cool.
That was a great moment. That was one of the more heartfelt moments when it's such a simple line, but it's just like, hey, you know, our house is always open to you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Incredible or whatever they say, you know, I appreciate that. Thank you. But, you know, that was just a sincere, very little moment. But like, that's what I would do to my friends. I'd be like, dude, we got an extra room upstairs. Anytime you need to stay here. Like, it was so real. It was down to earth.
Yeah. And Luis says, I love how Violet's first reaction was to call Lucius. Yeah. When Mr. Incredible. And I love that the more that Mr. Incredible lost it, his hair got more like waggly in his face. Like, as he broke down more. But yeah, her first reaction was, we better call Lucius.
Did they call him Uncle Lucius? I think at some point.
I don't think so.
No, I think they just said Lucius. And then I liked how, like, as they're fighting, he's trying to still protect the kids and getting them in the car. Tell him your voice, the Incredicar. Right. Say your voice, like right up until he's got the hypno glasses on. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really liked Frozone. I actually could have had more Frozone.
Now I know this is probably gonna like stir up a whole like. Do you know where I'm going with this, Dan?
No, I just think your preface is funny because I know it's true.
So yeah, I think this is probably gonna stir up some issues because
with
you know. No, with potentially people in the chat or elsewhere.
As in with me?
No, I don't know, maybe. So, but I just think that I could handle a film based on Frozone in his perspective.
Oh, absolutely. And
I would love it.
You know what's funny?
I don't think that's too controversial. I think people would tend to agree.
I know, but sometimes like the Solo movie that just came out, people are like, come on.
Oh, the side character thing is kind of.
Yeah, but what if it's like Party Central? Like, what if it's like
a short? Yeah.
I don't want a short.
3 to 5 minute short. Just
I want to really get
into Frozone.
Yeah, well, you should. You create your story and then pitch it, and then we'll see if it's good. We'll see if we'll see if it's worthy for a feature.
You know what? That would actually be like a really cool backstory about like Frozone's beginnings, and then it would kind of be too much, probably like MU, like then how they met Mr. Incredible and stuff.
Right. Yeah, I don't want to go back. I'm fine if they even continue it from here. What direction did he go? And obviously still involved the family, but you know, I don't know. Aiden says Dash calls him Uncle Lucius during the home invasion scene. So
okay. I thought I had heard that.
Yeah. Okay. So back to Jack.
By the way, just going back for 1 second, it bummed me out because you know how sometimes products reveal the plot?
Yes.
And it bummed me out because that Lego set showed the house attack. I'm like, I was waiting for the wannabe supers to be bad now and to show up at the house because it shows Brick in the Lego set. Yeah, and then we had this whole hypnotizing. So I pieced it together and that kind of bummed me out. And also the Hydroliner comes with a Elastigirl who's hypnotized. I'm like, I know that's coming too. So next time I need to even watch out for the toys because they'll give stuff away.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you piece that together too?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And it's by no fault of the movie. I probably wouldn't have seen it coming if I hadn't seen that Lego set, but whatever.
That's a cool Lego set.
It is a cool set. Yeah, no. But I'm like, oh man, I pieced it together.
Yeah. So Alice is saying if they did a Frozone movie, then they'd have to show Honey. And you're right, but maybe not. It could always be him leaving.
Yeah, it could be funnier.
Yeah, it could be like an ongoing, just running gag that just keeps coming up. Okay, so back to Jack Jack. Let's talk about Jack Jack and Edna. What did you think about Edna's involvement in the movie? Julie?
Loved it.
Okay, what did you love about it?
I really loved, well, first off, I love the fact that they used Edna, who is like in love with superheroes. Like, I make clothing for gods. And here she has Jack Jack. She's like, I don't want kids. She's just like a single.
I think it's cool. She says, like, I'm lucky enough to have never been affected by the, like...
wanting kids.
Yeah, like, I've never been affected. I've been lucky enough to never be affected by that.
But yet here comes Jack Jack, who has, like, every power known to man. And she's like, no, I watch him. You go. You look tired. You go home. Because, like, here's this, like, all-powerful superhero. And she wants everything to do with it. I really like that.
Yeah. You want me to watch the baby? I don't have any baby watching facilities. Yeah, I mean, like, I thought it was cool that she wasn't in it a lot.
No, I'm glad that it was just like that scene.
Agreed. It's same page, because I think it could have been overdone very quickly and very easily, and I'm glad that it wasn't. And I know that Brad did that on purpose, where it wasn't like a gag that was overrun. But yeah, I like that she was. A lot of people are saying. So Jeremy's saying that was their favorite part. Luis, funniest part of the movie for me. Yeah, Abby says the same thing. There's a lot that was really cool about that, and obviously there's a lot that happened outside of our view. There's a book that's a kid's book that says Edna babysitting or something like that.
Babysitting mode.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks. Duh.
Yeah, I have that one. In fact, I didn't read it until after I saw the movie, and then it's pretty cute to read once you've seen it. Yeah, it's almost like a Pixar short in a book form. Like I almost wish it was on the Blu-ray or something.
Exactly. So I'm wondering if it will be like a Blu-ray short,
almost like babysitting Jack Jack with Kari.
Exactly.
Yeah, that would be kind of like a cool tie-in. Cool. Only it's with Edna discovering it all. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
I'd like to see all that, because the book they show like her in the kitchen and all that other stuff. Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I'd love to see more of that. Yeah, I'm not a babysitter. I'm an artist. Are you seeing this, Robert? Yeah. Yeah. So that part was great, where he mimics her, sneezes, goes flying into the air, and then how I loved it. Instead of doing the end guest, she gave him all the passcodes.
Oh,
does the eye scan?
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah, I thought that was great.
Yeah, she like took like over for him as like godmother kind of thing.
And probably the biggest moment, but babysitting this one I do for free, darling. Like the audience. Aww.
Well, it's cool because then you saw that there was like two people that the Pars could fall back on. They have Edna and they have Lucius.
Right.
They had like a community.
Right.
In the time when like superheroes are still not welcomed.
Right.
Really.
Right.
I mean, they're trying to get back, and then they know Rick Dicker had to just take off.
Done.
So he was part of their support system. So now you see these other two people who are a big support system for him.
What's the rival designer? Galbati? Is that
Galbaki?
Galbaki. Elastic suit is by Galbaki.
Yeah. I know, that was so great. I love the fact that it was like the first thing she said to him.
Yep.
And it looks like you can't see Jack Jack at that point. It looks like he's making the baby cry noise, and she's like, "Oh my God, you're worse than I thought." And then he's like, "It's the baby,"
which was a fun callback to the first one. She was like, "You got it, fat." Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also wanted to bring up that you were kind of half and half right when you remember when we were doing our trailer breakdowns, and you were talking about how you think that they were living with Edna.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you were like, "That is Edna's house. I know it." And so you were kind of half.
It was her house for a bit.
It was, because she does babysit Jack Jack, which we didn't know at the time. So, but when in our discussion, we were like, Edna wouldn't do that. Edna's better than that. But lo and behold, so it kind of played out like you thought, but a little bit not. But you were on the right path, though.
Yeah.
Because we were seeing in the movie, we were seeing, or in the trailers, we were seeing their new house and Edna's house kind of almost simultaneously. So it was hard to tell which was which. And it almost seemed like they were staying at Edna's, but sometimes it seemed like they were at a new house. Right. But now we know that it's both.
So Sarah is talking about something that I wanted to talk about, and I wrote down too, which is super cool, which is something that a lot of people had not, when I've talked about it with anybody, they've been like, oh, I didn't even think about that. So if you think about, well, of course, Robert, I'm playing Mozart. And he starts like doing that hilarious like baby dance and then multiplies. So there's a theory out there, and I had thought of this, and so I'm not trying to just copy this theory, but like when it hit me in the theater, I was like, oh my God, like it blew my mind. She was playing Mozart, and that started his powers going. Yeah. So the theory is that Kari, and they say the leading experts say that playing Mozart is good for babies, and that is right before he started having his powers. So did Mozart unlock and like start his...
But when did the raccoon scene happen? That happened before they went to go to Edna's house, right?
Yeah, so it's not always music, but is that what unlocked him?
Oh.
I don't know if that's what they had in mind. It's a good theory, but I think it's only a theory. I don't know if they were actually...
I just thought it was too funny that right after Kari said she's going to play the, Mozart. Like Mozart for him, even in Jack Jack Attack, like she puts it on and that's what gets him going. And then so it has to be an event of some sort because Edna basically says he's a baby that can't control his emotions. So, but I thought it was so cool that Edna discovered that Mozart also did that for him. Like it happened with Kari.
Right.
What it seemed like, exactly what you said, an event kind of makes it come out because at one point, Mr. Incredible says, in response to Lucius, he goes like, when did this start happening? And then he goes, when Ellen took the job. So like the stress of maybe having Elastigirl gone out of a change of scenery, that kind of prompted like something. So that kind of started this whole thing. So, and then the raccoon thing, that was kind of an event. So it does seem like almost like stress or instincts kind of cause it. But I did want to throw it out there for the chat as well, what they think of kind of what we were talking about off camera when I was referring to the scene with Syndrome, which was also an event and a high stress thing. So that kind of goes along with that. When his powers first come out with Syndrome, the movie at the end of that scene flashes forward 3 months to the track meet. Right. And then between that and all the way to the raccoon scene, he just never showed any sign of powers. Does anybody else think that was kind of like too long of a gap that they wouldn't have known? And I also brought up the fact that Kari, the babysitter, seems like she would have said something to Rick, who would have said something to Mr. Incredible. I just thought that they would have known something by then.
Yeah, there's definitely a little bit of an inconsistency there, but obviously you couldn't have that and still have the impact of Bob finding, like, that was their excuse to use Teddy Newton's scene from the first movie. And if they already knew, it wouldn't be a shock. Right. It wouldn't be as funny. So yeah, I don't know. But
maybe it's those 3 months. Maybe they were not, they were quiet. There weren't any stressful, action-packed things happening in their life. No changes of pace. They were as a family. And so it didn't cause him to do his powers. And then until Elastigirl left, that's kind of what started them up again because of that high stress environment. But then you also wonder why they didn't come out during the Underminer scene. I don't know. It gets deeper and deeper the more you think about it. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. It does get deeper and deper the more that you think about it. But yeah.
But it is what it is.
That's right.
We'll just move on.
Yeah, I guess that is the case. So I wanted to talk about a couple other smaller details. So let's just talk Easter eggs. So again, somebody said, I don't know if you talked about a Pizza Planet truck. We'll reiterate real quick. It's when Elastigirl
and the Screenslaver have just fought in that like cage.
They're falling out the window. She's parachuting to the ground as soon as they hit the concrete.
It's in the background.
It's in the background. It's a style.
Fairly big.
It's pretty big. It's a stylized Pizza Planet truck. A113 is all the way at the end at the film they're seeing, Dementia. A113, the ending of Dementia.
Is the Pizza Planet truck kind of stylized like Monsters U? How it was more boxier?
It's more rounded, like a 60s car.
Oh, okay, that'll be interesting. I didn't see it, so that'll be interesting. Cool.
And then Luis is saying any Toy Story 4 Easter egg. We're not sure.
They said it's there, but you won't know until you see Toy Story 4. Much like Hank was in Good Dinosaur, but you never would have known,
right?
Because you didn't know who Hank was.
Right.
There was something that back in when Up came out, though, when Lotso was in the bedroom on the floor, there was something that came out. I remember Lotso was circled, and the headline was, "Is this our first peek at first Toy Story 3 character?" So maybe something will come out. Someone will decipher it, or an official word will come out as a hint or something.
It depends on whether they use another story, because Lotso was originally written for Toy Story 2. So I think that they already had his concept art.
Oh, so it was more obvious then, maybe?
Yeah, it might have been more obvious because he was already kind of like the art was out there.
Mm. But the concept art had been out there already?
I don't thinking about that, I don't know. But I know that he was originally for an earlier version. I don't know if it was out there earlier, or if that's just hindsight telling me that. But I was watching the background a lot on the last showing. And there's one little toy that's tucked away that when Jack is going, "Ma, ma, ma," and he's crawling towards the TV when Lucius is there and they're just talking about it for the first time, there's it's almost like a helicopter that has like floaty, like so it could land on water, tucked in the corner. And just the way it looks and it's modeled, I'm like, is that something? So I don't know. I'm keeping my eye on that one.
And then the Pixar ball's on his crib.
The Pixar ball's on his crib. He's got on his wallpaper the seals with the
holding the ball on the nose.
The ball on the nose, but the wallpaper just has like a regular ball. The one on his crib is actually on.
It's like etched in wood.
Yeah, it's etched in wood. That's actually the Pixar ball. It's not colorful. Yeah. I'm learning a lot of new things. So that's cool. I'm glad to hear that. What's with the it's like the Combat Carl toy. Oh yeah, I guess a little bit, like he was out a little bit earlier. So the one thing that somebody else mentioned too that I think it was it Justin? Let me look back. Jeremy mentioned about we got to talk real quickly about the bike scene,
because that's your favorite scene.
I don't know.
Well, it's hard to say because you like the other scenes so much.
The part with Screenslaver is amazing, but the part with, and we've said it on the podcast, we've said it everywhere else, I talked to everybody about it, the motorcycle chase sequence with the Elasticycle and the Metrolev magnetic train is Pixar balls are also on the rims of the tires of the car, of the Incredicar. Is it over there? I'll have to pay attention. But yeah, it was storyboarded by Dean Kelly. He's a master at storyboarding. His storyboards are super fast and insanely detailed, but they gave him this description, which is like, and an enormous chase sequence happens, and he came up with this. Now, when we watched this at the studio, there was one extra moment that was cut out, and it bums me out.
Oh, interesting.
Because
a real last-minute cut.
Yeah, it must have been. Yeah. So we saw that chase scene, and it just blew my mind. Oh, she said it was on the limo. Awesome.
And it's interesting that it was a part so memorable that you actually noticed it was cut.
Yeah. So
that's interesting.
So, and what I'm trying to remember though was this moment cut? I swear it was from the film and not from the storyboards, because we also saw his storyboard reel of this scene, and hopefully they incorporate that in in the Blu-ray as well. But it was one of the moments her bike had side view mirrors, and she's looking forward, but it's focused on her face in the side view mirror. Just the way that he did it was perfect. The way that it went patched in and how it was edited together was just brilliant. I don't know why that one shot, it was like, oh my God, I love it.
Maybe it was just in storyboards, because that seems weird that they would just cut one brilliant shot out of it if it was animated and everything.
Unless it was literally just, it felt a beat too long and they wanted to shorten it up. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, that whole sequence, it bummed me out that the Elasticycle had to blow up, because I loved it and I wanted more.
Yeah, me too. When I knew I knew she had to do it, but I was like, oh, that thing was so cool. I have the toy of it. There's the Funko Pop coming out. I'm like, anything with the Elasticycle, I will get, because favorite scene.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Jack, this is the other thing I was going to say when he multiplies. What happens? Let's just say one of his multiplications gets trapped on the other side of a door? Like, what if one got through to get the cookie? Could he become whole again, or would he be like Voldemort, like and have like his soul would be split? No, I mean, like, I'm just saying, like, what happens?
That's gonna be like a theory on YouTube now. Jack is Voldemort.
What happens if what happens if he splits off but can't go blah, 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 and come back together?
It's a great question. Maybe they'll explore that in Incredibles 3.
Yeah. So, okay, one other moment I got to talk about. The scene with
Julie's getting so tired.
I know.
I am tired.
The scene with Evelyn, because it's the little Pixar details that just like blow my mind. And this I saw in the first full screening at the double feature. Evelyn and Elastigirl are talking, and they're talking about who would you believe? The cynic in me thinks the sales is better. You know, like that scene where they're talking right before she goes, oh, I know how to get him. Okay, that scene where she's like touching her hands on the couch, and I love that they had the arms so high on that couch, but she's touching the couch, and as her hand interacts, and you know that's all animated. Yeah. As her hand interacts with the plush of the couch, you can feel the thickness of the fabric because it's that 60s like thick fibery weave. And you can feel it, like you can see it push down and in, and it just it matches so well. And that's the stupid stuff that I just love. And so anyways, for anybody else that might have geeked out over those little details, you just go ahead and let me know.
TJ's like, come on, this is exciting stuff.
Detail was thrilling.
It is. It's awesome.
TJ, real quick, I have to ask, and you can just be quick about your answer. Who did you side with more during that conversation?
I sided with Elastigirl.
With the fact that she was saying that the marketing was more powerful, or sale. Okay.
Yeah.
Because both had
it doesn't matter how good your product is unless you've got buyers, essentially. Because the best salespeople have the most buyers. Doesn't matter what you're selling.
That was a cool conversation. I like that a lot because it makes you think, and it makes you kind of have a discussion after as well.
Well, and she also has that, you know, like people, like Evelyn has that whole like people will choose convenience over like design or quality. Convenience over quality every time. So if it's easy. Okay, so I have to talk about one other moment of animation too, because so Giovanni and I both had the same feel. He texted me individually about it, and I was like, yes, I'm glad that you noticed that too. So he wanted to say, and I agree, that the moment where Evelyn has Elastigirl trapped in the cold chamber, she's doing her walk around and how she's doing all of her motions and how the animation on that is his favorite animation of a character ever in a Pixar movie. And I absolutely wrote down that whoever animated that sequence, Evelyn's sequence. I mean, Mrs. Incredible, Elastigirl's great in that too, because you can see as she's breathing the cold, you see her diaphragm and like her chest and her stomach, like pulsating with the cold and everything and moving in and out. It's super cool. But you can see like just the way that Evelyn moves and like the psychotic look that her face gets, yet happy, yet not. And such a great use of reflection. I know that wasn't the animator that set up that camera angle with the reflection, but how she pounds her hand on the glass and she's like, you know, blah, blah, blah. Sorry for being in your face again. But yeah, that was his favorite. And I have to agree. I wrote it down and I'm like, whoever animated that was masterful. That was just wonderful. So people keep talking about the waffles, those waffles though. And I did write waffles right here. Yeah. It says waffles. So yes. Oh, one of my favorite jokes, total sidebar. In the latest poll, people have more faith in a monkey throwing darts than Congress. Like, I thought that was so funny.
That was funny.
People have more faith in monkeys throwing darts than in Congress. What a side little joke that was slipped in there. Because it was on the radio. It was
very quiet.
I don't think I caught it.
Yeah, she's driving in the limo, and it's where Elastigirl is coming in, and she sees the little girl holding the sign that says, you know, Screenslaver's still out there.
Who looks exactly like our friend's daughter. I screenshotted when she was in a little TV spot recently, and I sent it to them. 100%.
Yeah, that's total like Bonnie level cuteness. But yeah, so like that's the radio that's playing inside the limo. Oh, that was so great.
One of my favorite jokes while we're on that topic was, what, can't you just uncrush it? Or whatever. You want me to uncrush?
Yeah.
That was good. I did like that one stood out.
Yeah. So of the extra supers, the wannabe supers, my favorite line was the whole like, medical condition or superpower. You decide. For reflux. Oh, how cool did his stomach acid look when it was over Violet's like force field?
Ew.
When it was like oozing over that?
I don't know. I can't remember. I don't know if that superpower was like my favorite because it was kind of like
disgusting.
It was kind of weird. That's what they were. Obviously, they were like. I can just picture them sitting around the table. They're like, "Let's just get weird, guys.
Right?
Name some stuff. What's weird? Throw up. That's fire, lava. Perfect. It's in the movie.
Right.
Luis has a interesting question.
What about the swear words
Yeah.
or the not swear but more serious language? So HELL and damn.
Yeah.
Not the first time. Well, for HELL, Ratatouille.
Okay.
Welcome to and Cars, Hillbilly.
Oh, I'm in Hillbilly Hell.
Yep. Yeah. So it was not the first time. For that word at least, maybe for that the other.
I don't remember the other one. I guess because I was so engrossed in the story that it didn't pop out to me. I guess it's not like a swear.
Parents that had their kids there.
Oh.
Yeah, there was promote the H out of it. That was one, and then the other was there was one more too. Yeah, it was a little jarring, I think, for some people. I know on like those parent websites, they're like up in arms about it, like those types of parents. But yeah, so I can see why it was alarming for a couple of people. But Brad Bird, I mean, ever since The Iron Giant, he's put a couple of those mild swear words in his film. So it didn't surprise me coming from him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, it was Evelyn. Evelyn said, "I'd be damned."
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
and
she said, I'd be damned. And she said, "Yeah, let's promote the hell out of it."
Mm-hmm.
I guess it didn't resonate with me.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have even.
It's when
I was so engrossed.
They were very mild and quick. It wasn't bad.
And Alice, I don't think he says SH blank T. I think he says shoot.
Yeah, no. They did not put that one in.
Yeah, no. Because Usher wouldn't have done that either.
Yeah.
Okay, so other funny things. I was trying to figure out the date. The newspaper that she was reading was October 25th. The blowing nose out of water.
Yeah, that was a great gag.
That was the loudest laugh in our theater every time I've seen it. Mm-hmm. So I know a lot of people like that. Violet also with the secret ice cream, where she was going downstairs to get the ice cream, and she was just in her
clothes,
purple turtleneck with like the.
That's a classic girl thing.
Yeah,
girls and their ice cream. That is an accurate stereotype.
Yeah.
What are you saying, Dan?
I'm just saying when Britta's upset, she's in bed with ice cream. That's all.
What did you eat before this hangout?
I had ice cream.
There you go. Britta literally has 10 tubs downstairs from the last sale at Stop and Shop. So I'm not saying she's upset a lot. She just likes ice cream.
Yeah, I like ice cream and salty foods.
Bam.
Okay, so I think we're pretty much there. Anything else on the extra, the supers, the wannabe supers, or anything like that?
No, they weren't a huge part of it for me. There wasn't a lot to go over with them.
Someone else said they liked Screech, and I did like Screech.
Oh, that's TJ's favorite.
Yeah, so Reflux was my favorite as far as like his line, but Screech was my favorite character. When he's running down that hall and he's got like the head bob, and like, oh man, that character was great. I'm Screech.
He had a line. Was that his only line?
It's a pleasure. And he's like got the gloves on that have all the details.
What's his deal though? Is he a person? Was he like this weird hybrid?
That's a weird.
Because he's the only one that's like not a person.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, Brick's borderline like Hulkish.
Yeah.
That was weird too. They went a bit more stylized with the supers this time, because you watched like the flashbacks in the first one and they're all basically humans in a special outfit. This one they're all kind of kooky looking.
Right. Yeah. Void was probably the most normal. Void and Reflux was.
He was just an old guy. I love that he was always sleeping.
That's true. I mean, they're all. Yeah, I guess.
Electrics.
I guess the
Electrics.
Yeah.
He was pretty normal, and so was. I always forget his name. The crushing guy.
Crush Hour.
Crush Hour.
Is that what it is? Crush Hour.
Crush Hour.
Oh, I felt like I didn't even know that. I guess, yeah, they're all relatively normal. I guess the ones that are the most are Brick and Screech are the most out there.
Yeah. Brick, most people don't know, is a female.
Mhm.
Yeah, that I know from, again, the Lego set.
Which was interesting too, because that's that I'm aware of. Mr. Incredible and Brick are having a full-on fist fight. Like they're hitting each other, male and female.
Oh, yeah, because we had talked about that too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably part of the reason that, you know, Evelyn was the villain instead of the brother, because originally it was going to be Winston's brother and they changed her to a female, but we thought it was probably part of you know, the fact that you wouldn't want to have like a guy and her like full on like even though Screenslaver's a guy, but you don't know. And yeah. Violet's
but
joke.
Brick is so stylized, I feel like they could get away with it.
That's correct. Yeah. You don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you from? Wisconsin. So Violet had some great one-liners. So it doesn't mean that you're not going to go to jail after she saves Evelyn. They're going in the cop car. And I'm mad that she'll probably just get a slap on the wrist because she's rich.
Yeah.
Like,
I know. I like that little subtle commentary there because it's true.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah. Dash had good stuff too with like it's excellent tap. And
oh yeah, that was, I do remember that one.
And then the Charmed, I'm sure, when he goes to shake his hand in the car.
He was just mischievous and I just kind of.
Oh, we haven't talked about this one.
Okay.
Void's portals.
Yes.
Yeah.
How cool was that, especially over the ocean when she's like trying to get it right?
Yeah.
The music
Clever.
there was great too. Like where you got like the strings like
So that's all part of that scene, that last of the
yeah
that I loved.
Yeah,
so that was a cool use. I know that we've seen that. It's not a new power in cinema history, but the way that it was used here was so cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
And in the house attack, like we saw in the trailer when he's just running through the same moment in time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was cool too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Magda likes where Void says, and where she says "Yay me" for Void.
Mm-hmm.
Louise, the whole discussion between Mr. Incredible and Elastigirl talking about the unfair law at the dinner table. There was a cool detail there when they said, "Did we do anything wrong?" And Mrs. Incredible says no. Mr. Incredible says no. Elastigirl says yes, and her nose flares. Like the nose flare was really cool.
Uh-huh.
I swear this is not just because I just saw it. Like even the first time around, I was like, "Oh my god, look at all these details!"
I know.
It was great for all those details. They really put, for moving this up a year in terms of timeline, how they pulled this off with the level that they did.
Breaking records.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that it's like close to 500 million already worldwide is insanity.
Dude, 182 million is up there with the biggest live action sequels of all time.
It beat out Jurassic World.
It sure did.
What's going to be crazy though is it's going to go up against Wreck-It Ralph 2, which people are freaking out about.
Also true. Against it? As far as at the Academy?
Yeah.
Oh, at the awards. Yeah, I thought I'm like, release?
No, because that releases this year too.
Yeah,
though.
Yeah, so that's always an interesting discussion.
Well, will
that's
that be
a Thanksgiving release?
Oh, you're right. So it'll still be, because it's Thanksgiving, it'll still be in like the
2017
awards.
Yeah.
I wonder what
we'll have to see Wreck-It Ralph to determine, but who?
The Incredibles did win the original one. The original one that year, correct?
Yeah, but who were they up against?
2004. Maybe Shrek 2.
Yeah.
I know Shrek 2 was 2004. That would have been the one.
Right.
Because Shrek 1 originally with Monsters, Inc.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which still good. So yeah, it would have been up against Shrek 2, which was also very good. So we'll see.
Happy Feet won against Cars, right?
Don't even.
2006.
It's like one of the worst years of my life. So,
but yeah, it'll be interesting to see the reaction like that people have towards that compared to this, because I mean they're both Disney sequels.
Yep.
There's going to be a lot of comparisons made.
I'm sorry, are they both Disney sequels?
I mean, to a lot of people, I mean the general public, Disney sequels. I'm
Dan, the Pixar fan.
It's over a large umbrella. I'm just encompassing the
Separate studios, same parent company.
The average moviegoer.
average moviegoer. Nobody in this feed is an average moviegoer.
That is true.
So, and then Luis is also saying it also beat out Captain America: Civil War. So, I mean, it's impressive what it's doing. So I can't wait
for
see
it to be in the $1 billion club.
That's darn right. I can't wait to see it get there.
Well, because it opens in a bunch of countries in 2 days on Thursday.
There's still a lot of countries even past that. That like it's going to come out weeks and weeks from now.
Right. UK is this week.
Is it?
Yeah, where it comes out this week, I believe.
And it's impressive that it made what it did because this is a very packed summer. Like sequel after sequel after. We had Avengers, we had Deadpool, we had Solo, we had Incredibles 2, we have Jurassic World, we have Ant-Man. Like that's only the biggest ones. I probably even missed something. Then there's all these other smaller films as well. It's a jam-packed summer, and the fact that it made as much. I mean, to take your family to the movie, it's expensive. People are more picky and choosy these days.
Yeah.
And to see all these movies, a lot of families can't go to all of them, so they pick their favorite. Like, hey, do you want to go see Jurassic World or Incredibles 2? A lot of people are forced to choose. And the fact that it did so well, like in this kind of summer, because it's not the same as it used to be. There are more huge movies back to back to back than there ever was nowadays. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Kudos.
Most of them are owned by Disney.
And that is true. They're just battling against themselves.
Marvel, Star Wars.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yep. All right, so let's talk about this and we'll leave it at that.
Sure.
So Luis says, I know Brad Bird is very outspoken about his distaste for sequels. Do you think he'll hand the torch to someone for a third film, or we wait until he's ready again? So
I think he's done.
So his
with Incredibles.
So his distaste for sequels, he said that he found the best way. He said that he had like the core of the idea for this film right after the first film, but he never wanted to develop until he was ready, until he felt like he had more. So he said the best way to temper people from freaking out, because he got tired of people asking him about it, was to just tell them that he would consider it, that he would look into it, that he would, if it crossed his mind, he would go with it. And that appeased people and made them happy, so he went with it. So he could get on to talking about what he wanted to talk about. I totally get that, respect it, and agree with it.
Right.
He cuts through all the garbage and gets right down to the point. And when he's got a movie to promote, he's going to promote that movie, not the other movie. So I'll never say never. I never thought that Andrew Stanton would do a follow-up for Finding Nemo, even though everybody wanted Dory. I never thought that would happen. I never thought there'd be 3 cars. You never know. So I'm never going to say never, but I don't think that Brad Bird would ever give this film to anyone else. I think if he's going to do it, he's going to manage these characters, because no one knows them inside and out more than he does, since he created these from like the ground up with Tony Fucile and a couple other people that like worked on the designs and stuff. So I really don't think that I don't think there's gonna be another one, but I really don't think he would hand it off to somebody else if there was. What do you think?
I don't know. I don't think he's.
You said they're done.
Yeah, I don't think.
But you don't think he's gonna hand it off either?
No.
Yeah, he's
100% agree with you that that I don't think it's gonna happen, and if it did, it would be him.
Yeah,
because it's his.
Yeah,
and Brad is so. I mean, he writes and directs. I mean, his way or the highway a lot of the time. Most of the time. I mean, he's open to ideas, but Brad Bird, it's his heart and soul, and he wouldn't pass it on. It's him all the way.
So a couple of people are. I think after Brad takes some time off and makes some other original films, he could come back. I can't imagine Incredibles without Brad. Chicken Turtle, I feel like he'd want to complete the full trilogy. I don't think any of that means anything to him. Brad is.
I don't know if there is a trilogy in mind. I think that he's just working on individual stories. Like, I don't think he has a draft or anything like that.
Yeah, I literally have never there's just a different mystique about Brad Bird. He has that feeling when you're like in the same room as him, as like you're in a Spielberg room, like where you're just like, holy cow. A, that's Brad Bird. Like, B, like this dude.
He commands the stage.
He knows his craft. He knows what he's gonna say. He's very well thought out. He doesn't slip up. Like, this guy's a master. And like, it's not to say that other people aren't cool. I've said this before, that they don't make you feel. But like Pete Docter, the new chief creative officer of Pixar, super cool. he like is so warm and welcoming. When I sat knee to knee to him this close, he was like, "Hey," like Brad Bird doesn't have that. He's like, he's walking into the
He's
room.
not warm and fuzzy.
He's walking in the room to talk about business, not to get to like know you or like pull something out of you. Brad is the one that has the ideas in his head and he's pushing them out. Pete Docter's the kind of guy that pulls stuff out of you by welcoming you in, which is why he's probably a great idea for the chief creative officer, because he's going to pull stuff out of people. He was the creative consultant for Bow. Like, you know, so he's done these other kind of things. So it's going to be interesting to see like what comes of that. But yeah, Brad Bird he's a master.
I know.
You can't not respect him. You can't not respect everybody that's like at that level of director in general. They've obviously worked and done.
And they've added more people to the Pixar brain trust, which is something we always like to look at in the credits up to the end of each Pixar film.
Yeah.
Steve Purcell is now.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, I hadn't noticed that.
Yeah, director of Toy Story That Time Forgot.
Yes. And the voice.
Honestly, I hadn't heard any rumblings about anything after the credits. I didn't stay all the way through. Usually I do for Pixar films, but I think who I was with was a little antsy. And they were like, "Is there anything at the end?" I'm like, "I haven't heard anything." They're like, "Let's go." And so, but then I hear that there's some kind of Underminer coming up or something.
Yeah,
Did you guys say?
Yeah, it's a little graphic. It's the Underminer. Like, it looks like Eric Tan's artwork. And I think it's Josh Holtzclaw that also does some of that. He comes up and he just goes like,
oh, it's just a little graphic then.
Yeah, it's a graphic.
I thought it was like a little animated end scene.
No,
where
graphic.
It goes, okay, so it's just like, okay.
Yeah, but it's still, I'm sorry, Dan.
But I still want to see it.
I don't care who you're with if they're antsy.
The artwork is really cool.
You say, "Excuse me, I am Dan, the Pixar fan. You sit down."
Usually I stay because I like to see all the production babies. I like to see the brain trust. I like to see everything. So next time I am staying through the credits.
Yep.
I will redeem myself.
You better. You pull a Brad Bird on whoever it is and be like, "Sit down," or "I'll see you outside."
I wish I could control a room like Brad Bird. He's the man.
He is. So, all right. I think we've talked about this for as long as the film is.
Yeah.
We have, like usual, and I know you still have 4 pages or 5 pages.
Oh my God, I have so much more to talk about. We didn't even talk about the lighting at the pool where they're like sitting outside at the motel.
Great scene though. Great scene.
Yeah. With
great dialogue.
The blues coming off the water reflecting here, and you've got the light from the safari court, the place coming, like rim lighting around the side of them, and I'm like, "Gah!"
That's funny. You're so focusing on the lighting during that scene, and I was focusing on like the dialogue and the script and the acting of them, like of the characters, which is it's interesting how we all kind of like gravitate towards our interest during each scene.
I'm seeing everything.
Oh, I know you are, but specifically though, the lighting for you.
Yeah. Oh man.
And for me, it was like just the realism of the story. Like, yeah, they would have this conversation. Like, this is a real conversation that needs to be had, and it's a serious one.
Yeah.
And you get the gravity of it when they're talking.
Yeah. So
really good acting.
I'll throw a totally sidebar personal moment in there. So that scene, the lighting colors remind me of the first time that my dad taught me about like contrasting colors and why certain colors work well against each other. Like that's like a hot and cold. And I had this, he was in my room describing it to me when I was drawing something. And he's like, "I think that would have been more powerful if you used these colors." And above me was a poster that I had of a Lamborghini, like skidding off, like going up and forward. It was a Lamborghini. It was a red Lamborghini, and they had like blue lights in it. And that was like the same colors. And so as soon as I saw that scene, I thought of my dad talking to me about contrasting colors with my Lamborghini poster. That was pretty cool.
Awesome.
Well, there you go. A little personal touch there.
A little TJ story that will
TJ.
nothing to anybody. So anyways, I think we've talked about it enough. We're at like the 2-hour mark again.
It's past midnight here.
Yep.
I have to do a post.
And I'm sweaty. Yeah, so we're gonna be coming out like the incredible. Oh man, I'm sweaty because the room when we get the lights on and everything, and we can't have like the fan on because it's not like
it's a little warm in here.
It gets a little schwitzy. So the next post we're gonna have coming up. We already did the video. It's already actually uploaded as private to YouTube. We just had to unleash it. Is
Incredibears that are at Build-A-Bear.
Build-A-Bear, yeah. We got lucky enough that they asked us to come out. They let us build 2 bears. So we're going to show those bears, and we had some fun with it too. So get ready for that post, and you guys should check it out because the pajamas have Eric Tan's concept art on it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That art is everywhere.
It is.
They really took advantage. They put it on all the marketing and products and packaging.
JJ Rick Studios is saying, did you guys already talk about all the subtle things like somebody drops a piece of broccoli from the chopsticks, Mr. Incredible does, you're right, or the way people move when they breathe? Yes, yes, and yes, we talked about those things. And yes, it's phenomenal. Holy cowza. Like literally, like I can talk about more of them. No, I won't. But
you will. I think you want to do one more.
It's just there's so much good stuff. I want to know who the eccentric billionaire was. And why did he have this house with all these extra exits? Because he wanted to come and go without being seen. Who's the eccentric billionaire?
Ask your friend Brad. Maybe he knows.
I'm gonna have to. So, anyways,
tweet at him. hey, Brad at Brad A113 or whatever it is. Who's the eccentric billionaire?
Actually, his name is in the here. It's buried. It's in the junior novel, the junior novelization. It's in there. So,
you already know your own answer?
Yeah, but I want to know why he's an eccentric billionaire that needed all these secret I just know his name.
So maybe they'll make a comic strip or something.
There's always an eccentric billionaire.
Like with Star Wars, they explore every last detail in a comic or a novel or a TV series. So you never know.
Yeah, you have a live action one coming to the Disney streaming service too. So
I know Incredibles needs some expanded universe material.
Yeah. So Kendall's asking when the next live stream will come out. Not sure yet, but
because we got a while. I mean, we're like a year away without any new.
There'll be trailers.
There'll be trailers down the road. Probably not. I wouldn't expect
Blu-ray release with news. Yeah, breaking news that comes out. Yeah. We'll have more, but also.
I'll be doing some later this week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I will.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I'll be at Toy Story Land, the media preview and opening day.
28th, 29th, and 30th.
That is very exciting.
I'll be
congratulations.
So so we're gonna get some good inside scoop. Stay tuned to Pixar Post.
A bunch of interviews and stuff, and ride on Sleepy Dog and the alien saucer rides, and eating the food and seeing all the merch.
It's very exciting.
I'm excited. I'm just excited to go to Disney World.
First time you've ever been by yourself.
I know, and that's probably gonna make me cry. Because my boys are gonna be here. Yeah, I'll be there for 3 days.
We'll think of you.
Yes, we will. I'll check in on TJ. How's it going?
Oh, thanks.
It'll be a rough couple days.
Yeah. So anyways, we'll have more. But the other thing we're going to have to talk about coming up soon too, there's going to be more that's going to come out with this quicker than we think is going to be the Monsters, Inc. TV series that's going to be on the Disney streaming series.
Oh, yeah.
You think quicker than we think?
I think there'll be some background stuff for it.
I'm sure.
Until I saw something about that recently, I had totally forgotten about it. So I recently again got super pumped for it.
Yeah.
That's going to be really exciting.
And I also think we're going to hear about the next short, probably because of film festivals. We'll probably hear about that.
You never know.
Sometimes they announce it like 4 months before.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like a year before. So like what was the one we didn't even know until like literally like the movie was about to be released?
Sanjay's Super Team.
Is that what it was?
There's a whole bunch of more recent ones have been like that.
Yeah.
Like we didn't know what was
Lava was the one we knew about the longest.
Yeah,
it was like a year.
Lava was a really long time. And then there was one other one that was super long too. Oh, Blue Umbrella.
Yeah.
Because those both premiered at Annecy.
And Annecy just happened. So
right. So yeah, who knows?
And I would imagine a Toy Story 4 teaser wouldn't be at the earliest November, I would say. October, November.
Yeah. Probably.
But back in the day, you remember every Pixar film, you could always expect to see the teaser a year out.
Yeah.
Every time. It's like, we get to see the little teaser a year out from now. We're going to be seeing another Pixar film. But now, I mean, ever since the last maybe 5 or 6 of them.
Yep.
The last one to do it was, I think Monsters University was with Brave a year out. 12 to 13. And then once that whole Good Dinosaur problem
You mean Brave?
started,
Brave
had the good or Brave had the
Monster
Zoo trailer,
right.
And that was a year out. And then after that whole Good Dino pushback, they've never been attached anymore. The teasers haven't been attached a year out. But that was always, you could expect that just as much as you could expect a short back in the day.
Yep.
Right.
But oh well, let's look forward to that teaser then later this fall.
All right, so that better wrap us up. So everybody, thanks for coming on and chatting with us. That was fantastic. Great comments. We really appreciate all the input that you guys have. Thanks again to Dan the Pixar Fan for coming out. Dan, for anybody that wants to come visit you, you can go to danthepixarfan.com and get a glimpse at your personal collection, as well as some other news and events that might happen from time to time, right?
From time to time.
Yep. So be sure to stay tuned to that. But more importantly, I'm TJ.
And I'm Julie.
And be sure to stay tuned to PixarPost.com all week for the latest Pixar news. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.